Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. My name is Raheem Ajmi out of Atlanta, Georgia, and the phone lines open. Today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Friday. Do. Thank God it's Friday. Yes, I got a little singing in me every now and then. It don't never come out good, but I try. It don't never come out good, but that does not mean that I do not try. The phone lines are open 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. I got a topic I want to talk about today. And want to see how this gonna play itself out. How it's gonna take. We are waiting on the family to come in. Everybody should be in just a few minutes. Um, and the question I want to ask today is how did how did slavery, the act of slavery, the whole thing around slavery, how did it affect black people? How do the world see it? See slaves? Did it devalue black people in the way that they see themselves and the way that other people see them? I mean, you got all these situations that happen, man. To come over on the slave ships, to be at the belly of that ship, um, living and lying in your own bodily waste, feces, and urine, and other people. To do that, and the voyage from Africa to America had to be at least 3 months. A lot of people died because of diseases and different things of that nature. They died because of the conditions. A lot of people, the decision was so deplorable that they jumped overboard into the Atlantic Ocean to their own demise. They jumped. They said there's no way I can continue to live this way. And they jumped and they died in the middle of the Atlantic. There should be a trail of bodily bones or whatever you want to call it on that journey. You should be able to just go on that journey, and you should see bodies, skeleton remains of individuals that jumped overboard. I'm wondering, my question is, to see these people come off this ship, knowing that they've been what they've been subjected to, and the look and the smell of those people coming off that ship at that time, nothing that that they chose to do. It wasn't a choice, but it was a reality. And to get off that ship and have these people to encounter them for the first time, the way that they look and the way that they smelled. How what value to put in that? I don't know if they even took the time to think. These people has been in a horrific situation for months, a situation that I would not put my worst enemy in. I would not want my worst enemy to endure what they had to go through on that journey. 508-924-3521. And to have your first encounter of these particular people. Not saying that there were not black people already here, because we know there were. There were already black people here. And a majority of them were free. But to encounter these people for the first time under those conditions, what value do you think other people put on them? And how did our ancestors see ourselves? Looking at each other, knowing what we've gone through. So my question is, how did slavery devalue the way that we look at ourselves and the way that others look upon us, individually and collectively? Did slavery devalue us? Give us a call, 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Would love to hear your input on what you think about this. Did it devalue us? Did it strengthen us? What exactly are the effect, or were the effects, or are still the effects of slavery on us as a people? I would love to hear your input on this. Again, the phone lines are open, 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. There's so many different levels that we're going to talk on this. And some people are going to agree, some people not going to agree. It may get a little hot and heated today. It just might. You never know. It depends on. Oh, we got our first call there. Let me see who we got here. Who do we have on the line with us? Good morning. Good morning. How you doing this morning? Curtis.
Yeah, what up, brother? What's going on?
Man,
How you feeling, man?
Hey, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Curtis, I got a question for you, brother. And
What?
I want to hear you, because Curtis, you are a historian and you love to study history. So this is perfect. This is right down your alley, actually. Curtis,
Okay.
I'm talking about slavery right now. We're talking about slavery. And
Okay.
how did slavery devalue us? And I painted a picture of us coming across, our ancestors coming across on that ship. It had to take at least 3 months for them to get from Africa, during that time, from Africa to the United States of America. Our ancestors lived at the belly of that boat, of that ship. We lived at the belly, man, in our own waste, in our own
Right.
feces, in our own urine, and each other's. A lot of people died from disease. Some people, man, got the situation was so deplorable that some people jumped overboard, man. They said, I will not live like this. I deserve more. I will not live like this. I'd rather die. And they jumped overboard. And I was talking about how you could, if you follow their trail, you could find all kind of skeletal remains of our ancestors that jumped to their deaths, man. They said, I'm not going to be subjected to this. But my question is this: how did slavery devalue? Because truth of the matter, to be in that situation for 3 months, and then you get off that ship, man, and you're not getting off like you're deodorized. There's a stink that coming from you from being in that situation for that long, and to have somebody to see these people for the first time, the way that they look and the way that they smell. Curtis, I'm asking a question, man. This slavery, and that's just a part of it. That's just a level, or one layer. But did slavery devalue us in our own eyes and in the eyes of others at the same time? What do you say to that? Did it devalue us, and how much did it, if it did?
In our own eyes, I think it devalued us over a course of time.
Curtis, you're just a little bit low, brother.
Our own eyes. And hold on. I said, in our own eyes. I think it devalued us over time. I think that the whole, if you read the Willie Lynch letter, it was all psychological. It was all psychologically planned to make us devalue ourselves over time. All right. That was to maintain control. Right. However, in natural value, the greatest economic value that any country has is not its minerals, but its people. People are the greatest economic value to any given country. So, to say that we was devalued, in all reality, our stock went up. It's the reason why more ships went back to get more. Because when you look at the overall monies that was made from slavery, in all reality, slavery is what started American wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
Slavery is what started, what perpetuated, what was the continuance, and is still a vessel that is continuing American wealth still to the day.
You got to explain that to me. Explain why you say still to today.
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it like straight through. You got major Fortune 500 companies right now. The Fortune 500 companies sitting on top of America's economic what's the word, advance. But the whole company was structured and based. It was all based and supported by slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Wells Fargo is a bank. You know how they got, how they got prominent?
How's that?
Because slave masters will put their slaves up for collateral to get loans. You got insurance companies. It's historically proven that there was insurance companies that are now Fortune 500 companies, may have been renamed, that was on the New York Stock Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
They was on the New York Stock Exchange because guess what? They was holding insurance policy on slaves.
Wow.
Master would take out an insurance policy on his slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the slave lived or died, master still got paid.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
You understand? So there's a multitude of companies that are in existence now, still to this day, that their economic base was based off of slavery.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I wish Badger was on here, because Badger could probably bring it right up on your phone, on his computer. Because he's a master at investigation and study. But yeah, man, and that's proven. That's not conjecture. That's not somebody pulling something out of the air or making something up. That's proven.
Okay. Now, the way that, and that's one element of it. Like I said, there's many levels of this thing that we're talking about today, and I expect, man, this again, this gonna be grown folk talks, man, because we're gonna talk about some things that's very uncomfortable today. I think we're gonna get into some levels that's very uncomfortable, and that's one part of it. Because we got Cassandra and we have Tucson with us as well. I'm gonna go to them, but my thing is this right here: the way that they looked at us, even to today. Do they see any value in us outside of the economic prowess that they have? And yeah, you explain that part of it. Outside of that, do they look at us as any value? Have they devalued us as individuals, as people?
Yes, without a doubt. But that's because right here we're talking about a subject that most people either don't want to admit or are completely ignorant about.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm a land plane right here, Raheem. Listen, folks. Slavery was abolished 3 times before 1865. Before 1865. That's when the Emancipation Proclamation was sent. Signed April 4th, 1865. All right. Slavery has been abolished 3 times before that. One of them I know, I want to say 1833. The second one was 1848.
Mm-hmm.
Every time slavery was abolished, it was abolished to benefit the country for which we live in.
Mm-hmm.
The country was at war. The Our Caucasian American brothers was getting their butts whooped. They needed soldiers. They abolished slavery. The import of slavery was abolished way before 1865. That's why when Brother Raheem talks about people jumping overboard because they didn't want to come to slavery, you got to also remember those who was chained to boulders, so that if the British ships who were hunters of slave traders, if the ship was to try and stop them, they would automatically push the boulder in the ocean, which would drag their whole entire shipment of slaves to the bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
So
wow.
See, that's a whole nother value here, because Texas would not belong to America if it wasn't for the American Negro.
But see,
the African American.
But see, even when you paint that picture right there, and I'm going to go to Cassandra, I'm going to go to Toussaint. Even when you paint that picture right there, there's no value, man. If they try to catch us, we're gonna destroy all these people. We're gonna kill them all. What value is that, man? We're gonna push this boulder in the water, and as the boulders fall, it's gonna pull everybody that's in the belly of this ship to the bottom of the ocean, knowing they cannot survive, knowing they will not survive, knowing they will become fish food, shark meat. What value is? I understand what you're saying. I'm the question asker, brother. We can. I told you we're gonna go deep on this. Let's talk.
The value is the fact that the ship was insured, brother. That's where the value was at.
I understand that. That's on the economic side, but I'm talking about the people side of it. Yeah, that's true. What you said is true, but on the people side, what kind of value is placed on the people? I don't think none. If you're going to sacrifice them or compromise them in that way.
Okay. I get what you said.
Yeah, I'm just, man. I want to talk about this today, man. So, it's gonna be very uncomfortable. This conversation today, I'm gonna tell you something. It's gonna be very uncomfortable for everybody. Everybody that's gonna be on here. This conversation today is not going to be comfortable, but we have to have it. Cassandra, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
I'm asking about slavery. We're talking about slavery today, and how I painted the picture about, it took 3 months for them to get from Africa to the United States of America. Our ancestors, man, black people was on the belly of that beast, in the belly of that, I say beast, but we can't say beast, I guess, but in the belly of that boat. They was at the belly of that boat, man. And I'm visualizing this thing as I see it, man. They had to lay in their and everybody else's own waste, feces and urine. Weren't able to shower and clean up or anything. And when they get here, to step off that ship in those conditions, it wasn't the best of conditions. You didn't look right and smell right, nothing. I'm asking the question is, how much were they devalued as people when the first experience that you see is them in that way? Were they devalued amongst other people? Were they even devalued amongst themselves? How much did slavery devalue us as a people? What do you say to that?
Well, they weren't considered people. That you have to remember Absolutely. That Black people coming here as slaves were considered just like cattle or pigs or what you name an animal. That is exactly the way we were viewed. So there was no value except the like you said, the economic part of it, what Kurt was saying. Mm-hmm. So we meant nothing. We were absolutely nothing to them except a dollar sign. I have a hard time talking about,
mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah. See, people don't understand. Like the reason I do a lot of period pieces, when they're acting jobs, and because when you do a lot of you realize just how dehumanizing slavery was for
Yes.
our people. That's why I take a lot of roles playing slaves. And I've done it multiple times on several movies, huge movies. And to experience that, man, you get a view of what we endured. Have you ever driven by a huge field that all you could see as far as you looked was just field? All you could see was land, whatever they're harvesting, right? All you could see is that. Raheem, when I've done movies on slavery and we were in those fields, we would cry sometimes because when you in those clothes and it's 100-degree weather and you're working from sun up to sundown, you getting somebody walking on the side bringing you water periodically. People are passing out. When you pass out, they may move to the side, or they may beat you after you passed out. I mean, it was so dehumanizing to play those roles, but it gave me a feeling of this is what our people went through in this country when they got to this country. So for me, I've been in roles that actually you felt like those slaves felt. The only good thing was for us is that there was a tent somewhere where we could go and rest. And, you know, if you got too tired, they'd be like, hey, let us know if you get tired. Our people didn't have that luxury.
Exactly.
That was a luxury.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You know, but it was dehumanizing being in those positions. There was one scene I remember when we were doing, I believe it was Underground, where this guy had run away and they caught him and brought him back. And they brought all of the niggers from the field to watch them burn the guy alive.
Wow.
And of course, you know, they had, you know, the dummy that they replaced, but the white people are sitting there and they're having tea and cake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment. And we're standing there and we're horrified. And like I said, many of us would be crying, real tears. That's why they had psychologists on set. We would be crying real tears because we felt what our ancestors must have felt. And I'm going to stop right there.
Wow. Wow. And and as I said, good morning, Tiffany. I see you over there, Tiffany. Appreciate you joining in this morning. But I'm going to tell you something, man. I know when I had this topic, I knew it was going to be tough. It's tough on me. And I know it's going to be tough on everybody that's involved because of what it is. And the level, man, let me go to, wow. Tucson, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
I know there was a reason why I didn't answer my phone.
Wow. Wow.
See, because when I heard Curtis talking and Cassandra talking, there's a word on 4 words that I tried to remove out of my vocabulary. Cassandra, Curtis, Raheem.
Yes.
And it's Zamari's on too. Good morning. Yeah. Hey. And it starts off with Sunza. And I mean that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really just, you know, because Curtis, I think that I don't know if we're missing what Curtis is saying and Cassandra is saying. But if you got insurance on something, you covered. You good. You can do whatever you want. I can let me tell you something about here. I had an incident driving and it damaged my car. Paid for. Boom, that is. It's done. Done deal. It's paid for.
Yeah.
So if you the thing about it is if you damage your property, you good. You ain't lost nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I really don't. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm hot as a firecracker.
Mm-hmm.
And this has nothing to do with necessarily. Somebody would say, "Well, that was way back then. Why are you so upset?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I care about people.
Yeah.
And if you don't recognize people as people, you do them dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You mean and nasty, and you're
As, as I said, man, this conversation is gonna be uncomfortable, very uncomfortable to everybody across the board. I know and I understand that. But these are some of the conversations that we have to put on our big boy underwear, big girl underwear. And with
draws, Raheem, draws, big boy draws. Because look, now there's some words that come to mind this morning, Raheem, that are not holy.
mm-hmm.
Because this what you talking about right now, um, people do in the name of the Lord, and they use their Bibles to make sure that you are submitting yourself to your master.
Mm,
Uh, uh, Zamari, that's in the Bible, ain't it?
mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Yes,
I,
it
So
is. It is
so
in
so
there.
when you get people that interpret things the way that they want to, then they add something to the laws and they make it good for themselves. And
mm-hmm.
so when you talk about uh, people carrying their property, which they purchased with their money, however the currency was, and they property does not please them according to what their thoughts would be, well, hell, just throw them all overboard.
Mm-hmm. Hey. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna listen to y'all this morning, but I'm glad
No.
I'm going to therapy because I'll say some stuff this morning. I'm telling you.
And like I said, Tucson, look at wise man. We gonna come to everybody, man, because there's so much everybody could put into this conversation. If we just have the open and honest dialogue, and that's what I want. That's all I want. Let's have the open and honest dialogue today. Let's talk about this in its entirety, if you will. Let's talk about, and I know the word is entirety, I know, but we're gonna talk about it in its entirety, and we're gonna pull back some levels, man, some layers. It's not gonna be comfortable. We really are, and I know it. I know it already. I can tell already. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I can't complain, man. Just happy to see another beautiful day. What's going on with everybody?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Good to have you, man. We're talking this morning, talking about slavery. We're talking about slavery, man, and the impact that it had. And I painted the picture of the 3 month journey or more journey that it took. Land at the belly of that beast, belly of that boat. I keep saying beast, but the same thing. Belly of that boat, in your own and everybody else's urine and feces waste. Get off, and you're certainly not in the best conditions. You don't look well, don't smell good, and people, when they encounter you for the first time, that's what they see. I'm asking the question: how did slavery devalue us in the eyes of others and even in the eyes of ourselves? What is some of the lasting impacts of slavery even today? Rico, what do you say to that?
Oh, so that's good you went in that direction because that's the thing that people need to understand. Y'all remember that song Tupac made, Brothers Got a Baby?
Yes.
And the guy says, that's not my problem. There's up the Brothers family.
Mm-hmm.
Pac said, well, let me show you how it affects my whole community. It's a trickle effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been a trickle effect down to today. We use a lot of logic and cliches. Hurt people hurt people. Well, what do you think hurt parents and hurt grandparents do? Misprogram people. What do you think they pass down to their children? That same hurt and that trauma of being property, being devalued and expected to accept the fact that you are what it equates today to a piece of machinery. because you
Mm-hmm.
were used as machines back then.
Mm-hmm.
You are equivalent to a dog because they had you doing what dogs did and animals did. You're equivalent to a footstool because they took your children and made them get down on all fours while they put their nasty, funky feet on your back.
Mm-hmm.
You are equivalent to alligator feet meat. So they took your babies and fed them to alligators. All this just did what they wanted to the property that they owned. And then these people, like Cassandra said, look, they just saw reenactments and got emotional.
Yes.
If you saw that, if you got emotional during a reenactment, imagine how terrified and emotional these people were that saw it. You know, my mama told me that when she was young, she used to like to watch the chickens out in the yard, and she had one that was her favorite chicken. But then all of a sudden they ate it,
Mm.
and she found out that was the chicken they ate and how bad it hurt her. She lost that chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine watching somebody that you just dealt with the day before. Might have been laughing, the little laughter that you could have had. Just going through the struggle and living life side by side with somebody. Then all of a sudden, you looking at them in the middle of the road with their head on the stake and the rest of their body burned to a char, and people taking body pieces and putting them in their pocket.
Wow.
Picnics, postcards, property. So yeah, I mean, you know, it needs to be understood. It needs to be understood the trickle effect, because hurt people, and you definitely couldn't witness something like that and not be hurt, especially when you knew that could have been me.
Mm-hmm.
All somebody got to do is lie and say he raped me, he talked back at me, he looked at me funny. He didn't bow his head, he didn't cross the street when he saw me coming. Strangle him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
What do you expect from the people that went through that and witnessed that to teach their children the obedience?
Mm-hmm.
Put your head down, all that trauma. So yeah, it's a trickle effect, a terrible trickle effect. And that's the reason why the discussion needs to be had, because some people will say, well, hey, that was back then. And I'm going to tell you, just like Tupac said, I'm going to tell you how it affects the whole community today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's good. And that's why, man, though it is very uncomfortable, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable for everybody involved, but the dialogue has to happen. The conversation have to happen. Zamari, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Hey, doing good. Since we're talking about the slavery and how did it devalue us in the eyes of others and even in the eyes of ourselves, even till today. To the picture that I painted, man, for the journey, about the journey, and somebody stepping off the ship the first time, looking and smelling in that way. You
I
turning
can
it over.
only imagine,
Yeah,
I can only imagine. But I can tell you how that would make me feel
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
I was in that circumstance and seeing, and you know what? Honestly, any person in that circumstance, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you have any kind of a heart, at least, you're going to feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be, I'm not, and we sit here and we say, oh, well, it was different times and this and this and this and this and this and that. And I've thought about that before, like, okay, well, if I lived back in that time when all of this was normal,
Mm-hmm.
looking like I look like today,
And,
would
and
I have
hold on,
been okay with that? I don't think I
let me
would
step
be.
let me step in, because you said something that was so powerful right there. And I don't want people to miss it. And I'm gonna do this a lot today, so everybody be patient with me. You said something. You said when it was normal.
When
When
it
it
was,
was
yeah,
normal.
when it was,
Yeah.
because it was, right? It
Yeah,
was
it was. You're right.
normal.
Yeah, yeah. But see, even that comment, and like I said, I love your heart when you say that, because you're painting the absolute picture. It was
Yeah,
during that time, it was considered to be normal.
it was normal. It was not abnormal in the least
Mm-hmm.
to, in whatever scenario, in whatever case, whether you're walking in the middle of the plaza and you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing somebody beat their slave, It was normal and nobody batted an eye.
Yeah. Wow.
No one
Wow.
batted an eye because that's like somebody else just said, they were considered property. Black
Yes.
people were property
Mm-hmm.
to do with as they pleased, to toy with as they pleased, you know, and it's just coming off of that ship or stepping onto that ship, seeing the conditions of that ship.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even fathom that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I mean, I can sit here and say how I think I would feel going into that, but it's like if I were to go and visit a Holocaust site, for instance, right? That's going to make you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
You put me on one of those ships, you tell me the history of what that ship is, that's probably going to make me feel something. You have a reenactment of what the conditions were, because we only have books now to tell us what the conditions of these things were when they were coming over on these ships. The struggles, the chains, the bruises, you know, the marks, I'm dude, man.
Yeah.
And you know what, with their ankles and their arms and how messed up they would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the point to what they were almost completely severed because they were so tight on them.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
And
I don't know.
and to have to lay there 3 months. Now just think you have to lay there 3 months, day after day, minute after minute,
In
second
your
after
own
second.
mess.
Yes, yes. And have those shackles and all those different things on you. And like you say, it could be cutting into your skin. People don't, they didn't
And
care.
then the infection that comes along with that.
Yes. Come on.
I mean, there's just so much, right, that we don't really think about on a day-to-day basis if you're discussing this sort of thing. Like we can talk about the slavery end of it, but we're not talking about the diseases, the
Yeah. Yeah.
infections,
Mm-hmm.
the health problems and complications. And if
Mm-hmm.
they were in poor health, what happened to them? They were discarded.
Yep. Yep.
They were taken out. It was nothing. Oh, you're no good as a workhorse or whatever. You're no good to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lining them up once they got off the ships, completely nude,
Mm-hmm.
and any of their dignity completely stripped of them. And you have people manhandling you, men, women, children, to look you over. Open your mouth. Let me see your teeth. All these different things that happened to.
And let me say this. And one of the things that we are not talking about right now, there was a big divide in the level of communication because they were speaking different languages. How
Exactly.
you're telling me to do these things, I don't understand what you're saying to me. You know, you're
Right.
saying something in a totally different language. I don't understand what you're saying, and then they're beat because they don't understand.
Right.
I don't understand what
And
you're
then but that goes back to the manhandling, right? Where they would just grip them
saying. Yeah.
and do what they wanted to get them to show them what they wanted them to. Dude, I don't know. I mean, but again, you know, like I was saying, like it was normal back then. So
Mm-hmm.
would the person that I am today, if I had lived back then, I don't think if I was this same individual, I'd have some things to say.
Mm-hmm.
If I lived in that time, I don't think I would have stood up for it even then.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Ryan, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart, man? This is a conversation today, man. This is Friday. We ending the week with this one, and this is touchy. It's real touchy. What's on your heart, brother?
Supposed to end the week on a good note.
We did. We did.
Like Tucson said, why are you bringing up old stuff?
Wow. Yeah.
No. And you're right. It's one of those subjects, and some people go get in their fields today, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm on the same page as my wife, because not everybody back then of my particular skin tone or our particular skin tone was cool with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most people, I think, that were not okay with it, shut up though.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were at that time the few and far between, or even still better yet, some of the ones that were owners probably weren't okay with it, but because you were purchased, you were considered property, so you better do as told.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at it as more of a investment than as a human being. So, and that's not to make it okay, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. If you think that's what I'm saying, you got me all wrong, got me twisted. So, but yeah, it's one of those things because, like, I think about my culture and my ancestors. We weren't okay with that. We were equal opportunity haters. We took in everybody. Didn't matter what ethnicity you were, right? You were bought as a serf, made to work our farms, but you had the opportunity that after you showed merits, guess what? You got given your land and your freedom. You weren't treated with the descriptions like Rico was saying in the North, not in America, but in the Germanic regions. So it's hard to kind of make that division between white British immigrants that came over here and started their own thing and them treating people of color differently than whites that went to the northern Germanic regions who traded and treated everybody the same and gave you the opportunity for freedom, right? We read about this stuff all across history, even in the Bible. You took your slave or your serf and you made them work for 7 years, and then that debt was to be clear. Let them go. What happened to that? And I will never, even back then, I'd probably be dead instantly because I would not stand for it. I cannot stand for it. Even today, it makes me sick to my stomach. And yeah.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
And like I said, man, I know, and I knew, and I'm witnessing right now how uncomfortable this whole conversation, even for myself, it's not a comfortable thing. It's not a comfortable topic to really talk about. But we have to talk about it. We have to have the dialogue. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the ways that we get past certain things. We have to have certain dialogue, though they are tough. It's tough to talk about, tough to deal with, tough to face that reality. Have to be done. Have to be done. Mr. Hicks, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning? Ibrahim, coming to you next. Mr. Hicks, we can't hear you, brother. There you go. There you go. Much better. Mr. Hicks, you there?
You hear me now?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
You hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk to me, brother. How did it dehumanize us, devalue us, if you will, in the eyes of others and in the eyes of ourselves, even till today? Slavery.
I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. It reminds me of a conversation when I'm dealing with my kids, and they're trying to go back in the past and tell me how wrong I was and how I did things wrong back then and how it hurt them. And I guess you need to do it. That whole Freudian kind of theory is that you go back and pick off the scabs of the wounds and talk about it and work it out, and you're supposed to be better. But I find the farther you dig back in history, the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you get lost in emotional trauma, just revealing it. You react it, you feel everything all over again. So I don't know. I know this, that there are more slaves now on the planet than there ever have been. It's hidden. It's economics. And like that thing, the Road to Freedom is showing that with the child trade, it's all over the place. And it's interesting because slavery is proved in the Bible, in the history of Sumer, in Islam. In fact, in Islam, 100 years after slavery was abolished in Britain and in America, it was still legal under the Arab kind of mentality and systems. So I guess you say you got to talk about it. But I guess with me, I'm 74 years old. I came up through the 60s, and I came up in Newark, in that area where all this stuff was fermenting, it caused a rebellion. So riots and hatred and anger. I think it's almost like each one of our individual journeys on the earth. It was different for different people at different times. Slavery was one thing in 1500s, another thing in the 1800s, another thing in the 1900s. It's another thing in this here. We're all economic slavery. We're slaves because they keep information away from us. You know, I wonder about what would I do? What would I done back then? I don't know, but I know this here. When they started this whole COVID thing, I stood up against it, and there wasn't that many people standing against me anywhere I went. When I stood against the narrative that they pushed out. So I'm saying this here: people have a tendency to go with the crowd. It's comfortable to go with the crowd. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to say anything different because you might be reprimanded. Somebody correct your language and tell you you didn't say that right. You don't have a right to say that. How dare you say that? That kind of righteous indignation that take away the freedom, which would make us free and not slaves, not the body, not the economics. Are you free to stand on what you believe? Are you free to stand up against opposition when somebody's doing something to someone else is wrong? Or even if they're doing something to you, will you stand up?
Hey, Mr. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, and I'm just asking. I'm the question asker, so don't take any offense to the question I'm asking you here.
No, I won't.
Okay, good deal.
I'm a different man now, brother.
I got you. But let me ask you. You say that with the COVID, when the COVID situation came about, you took a stance when other people would not take a stance. Can you equate that, or will you equate that to this time that happened right now, the stance that you took? And I appreciate the fact that you did. But can you equate that to the time back in slavery times where, you know, if anybody were to speak out, they were beaten, hung, killed, or whatever? Would you equate that the same? Do you think you would have the same stance in that era that you had in this era dealing with the COVID situation?
Maybe now, maybe not when I was younger, because now I know I don't die. I know that death is an illusion. I know the illusions, and that's a trap. That's a prison they put us in, a fear of death. You fear to stand. You fear to go die. Sometimes you got to die. Sometimes you have to kill. That's that Old Testament thing. Sometimes you got to step up and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think a lot of times the circumstance reveals the man to himself. That's
very fair.
A lot of times it revealed to me that I wasn't all that I thought I was. Different situation.
Yeah. And see, I love the answer because that's very fair. You said, I don't know. And we all would like to think that we would in certain situations, but truth of the matter, placed in that situation at that particular time with everything that's going on around you, man, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
So that's very fair, man. I love that answer. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Just Ibrahim.
Love you.
Oh Lord,
don't
do it. Don't. No.
If you walk in the room,
I got a mute button over here, Ibrahim. I got a mute button, brother.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a mute button now.
Go ahead.
Look, we can't have two people on here that can't sing. I'm already one that can't sing. We don't need two. But seriously, what do you think about this, man? The value. What we did as slavery. The effect of slavery, did it devalue us as a people in other people's eyes as well as our own? And what are the lasting effects of that devaluation in today's time?
You know, when I think today's time, people are so desensitized and screamed at and believe in certain things that are just absolutely, to me, hilarious and not on point. Because, you know, the master used fear. And people are using fear today, a psychological thing today, to conquer. Now, you know, I respect brother his because he's the same age I am. He has some similar experience, but what he didn't have, he's talking about Newark. Let me tell you, y'all talking about slavery. You know, I could take days telling you about my experience in the 50s and 60s in the Bible Belt, segregation in the South. And y'all said, it didn't happen. You know, I talked to some of my kids about this. They're having slavery. But my older kids, they understood that because when Roots came out, I squashed all that noise and told them about our family history. Now, People still out in the cotton field. People still living on plantations when I came up, right? South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. If you really study Fannie Lou Hamer, not the glorified version that the black intelligentsia try to confuse you with, but what she actually went through. She was born, her people go back, figure several generations into slavery and beyond, where she was today on the same plantation, picking cotton, right? And married a cotton picker. Her mother, Deborah Cotton Picker, you know, it's not going on, right? But she came out and decided something she wanted to do. And about a month or two ago, a cousin of mine, we didn't build a family history. He sent me an article about one of our cousins. It was an article about this man trying to talk to her. She was born in slavery, and she lived survived slavery because she was maybe an adult. And then a man in his 20s, a man kept asking her, "Tell me about what slavery. Tell me about what slavery is like," and all like that, right? And she talked about them singing and dancing and praising and hugging and loving each other, her children. He said, "No, I don't hear about that. I don't hear about what the master did to you." She said, "Well, they did things, but she was talking about her. She wasn't talking about him trying to look at her life. She was talking about her life and trying to explain it to him." I keep saying that. I want y'all to understand the difference between looking at one person and looking up. Now, what I feel about slavery, right, is so ingrained in me. A lot of y'all wonder why I'm a Christian. I talk Christianity. Well, I tell you, look up the slave Bible. Look up the Genesis and Luke and all those kind of things, right? These were things that were taken out of the Bible and everything else eliminated to convince the slave that they were in where they're supposed to be and they were atoning from the sins of Ham. I actually came up in this, and in black churches are still teaching this. They still teaching it today. To do nothing, to accept your fate, accept your punishment, right? To go along with the punishment, follow the law. Not that the law is live and created. You can manipulate law. You can do what law you want to do with law because it's a living thing. And people say this all the time. Now, as far as running on a boat, that's a real good scare tactic because it was brought out several times. 3 months on a boat like that, and you've seen it and everything. And I've seen pictures of it, and I reenactments and all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you something. How in the heck that hundreds of people gonna be on a boat like that, chained down, right? And they get off the ship. They throw a lot of them overboard because they had died or dying or something. They throw them overboard so they won't affect others. So it loosen up, right? Because it's a number game. They get so many people and they go sell so many people for more money. So therefore, it's a number game. But how can anyone survive in that situation, right? A group of people in that situation. You take 5 of us today, put us in a 1-bedroom apartment about 1,000 square feet, turn off the water, right? And have some gruel around and stuff like that. No stove. Something you can mix with water or something like that, some oatmeal or something that you mix with water. And eat that and survive, and the water turn off, you can't flush it. Then every once in a while you turn on the water so they can flush it, right? Maybe freshen themselves up. Like throw seawater on you or something like that, right? And then you cut off the water again. That stuff is standard. You cannot survive in an environment like everybody will die. Like the lady was saying, diseases, the bed bugs, the fleas, the mosquitoes, everything, the rats, bitten by rats. Do you understand what you're trying to say to people? It is like unbelievable.
Are you painting a picture, Ms. Ibrahim? Are you painting a picture? And I'm trying to figure out where you're going with what you're saying. Are you saying that it did not happen in that way? Is that what I'm hearing you say, or what exactly are you saying? Help me understand.
I think that's a very good tool of victimization because people see you focusing on that. When I tell people, and I do Black History tours, and I don't have to brag about it, I don't have to tell about it, but I tell about what Blacks were doing during that time, how they survived, the background of Martin Luther King. Y'all don't want to hear it because what we lived through, what y'all calling slavery, was an everyday event down south, an everyday event. You couldn't walk on the sidewalk. You couldn't look a white person in the eye. Let me tell you the truth, right? Let me tell you the truth. I know, y'all think it's an opinion, but this is the truth, what I've seen, right? What I lived through. When I was involved, my mother took me involved in this, right?
But brother, what you got, Ibrahim, we got to move on. I'm coming right back to you. I'm gonna circle around, so I can't let one person talk too long because it's taking away from the conversation with everybody. So please understand me when I say that. Let me say, I'm gonna let you say. Hold on, let me say this to you. But my thing is, when you say your experience for what you live, and can't nobody take away from what you experience, brother. That's your experience. You lived it. Can't nobody take away from that. But are you willing to equate that to what happened in the slavery, and to say that it didn't happen in that way, I think that could be a very a very disrespectful thing that did happen to the people, because it wasn't like it wasn't. Hold on, brother, hold on. It was not like they was on the Norwegian, coming over here on the Norwegian, where it was all these luxuries, and they tricked them and get them over here, and then when they got them to the shores of America.
Now you're being disrespectful
no,
to me.
how I'm saying facts, brother. You saying that it did not happen that way.
No,
I'm asking you, brother, Ibrahim, you know we're not gonna do that, brother. You know we're not gonna do that. We're gonna have a conversation.
You just did it, brother.
No.
You went to
Ibrahim.
You went to a statement.
Ibrahim.
How you feel?
Peace.
Wow, I don't know who that was, but somebody said.
Wow.
But my thing is this right here. I can't allow it to be said that it did not happen, because I was not there, you were not there. We can only look at the history of it. But I know that the way that the people were treated, you cannot say that they were not in those deplorable situations. There wasn't a Norwegian cruise line that it was on.
Yes, I can.
Explain it to me. Explain it to me.
I ain't said about cruise line. Okay, what I'm saying is those majority of ships, right? I mean, if you're talking about a ship, you see a picture of one or two ships. Those ships weren't that big. They couldn't carry them many people and live successfully over. No one of Norwegian cruise line. They still pack people in a ship. But to pack people in for 3 months in storm condition and everything, you go on a big cruise ship in a storm condition and see how many people be throwing up and trying to jump off the ship and going crazy. It's recent events like that because of the way the weather gets. But what I'm saying to you is the difference between slavery, what y'all talking about, and when I came up in is the same. You still was under control by the same people and different ways in different parts of the country. But up north, y'all didn't experience, even during slavery, they didn't. A lot of people were free. They experienced that. There were a lot of free black people down here. If you really actually study history and not people looking at you and telling what they did to you and what your history is, you will really see that you have nothing to be ashamed about. You had nothing to buy your head down about. It was something done, but you survived and you did great things anyway, because that's what you're for. Language, that's another thing that is wrong. The people are the 10 countries that came over here. You could check me back over again. The 10 countries that came over, they were very well educated. They knew how to raise animals, manufacture gold, dig gold up, skin, steel, everything, right? They knew how to do it, and they spoke different languages because it was a seaport town. It was a trade town. They traded sea. That is the truth. Okay. Now, the stuff that y'all talk about, they couldn't speak language and stuff like that. They spoke Portuguese. They spoke British. They spoke English because they traded with these people. A lot of people in the country spoke several different dialects of their own language, a different tribe languages, right? They spoke, y'all talk about Mansa Musa, then you forget he come from them 10 tribes.
Okay, stay right there, Ibrahim. Stay right there, Ibrahim. Stay right there, brother. We've been with you for a while. Stay right there. I'm gonna circle back around to you, but my thing is this right here, and this is me talking. This is my opinion. What I think. I don't give anybody their opinion because they have their own. I have mine. And I disagree with what you're saying, brother, because my thing is I look at the way that they was treated once they got here, and I know the way that they was treated once they got here, it was a mirror of the way they was treated on that ship. And you say that there's no way that they could have done this, they could have lived this way. Man, look, the way that they treated the people when they got here on these shores had to be the same way that they treated them while they was on that ship. I can't see it just a light just coming on and all of a sudden now they're treating them in this way. Toya with a T, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good, sis. Doing good, man. I said at the beginning, this conversation is gonna be very uncomfortable. There's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna be said, but at the end of the day, I want everybody to know that's listening and that's a part of this conversation. We are still family. Regardless of where it goes or what happens today, we still family. We're gonna be family Monday when we come back on here again. And so, don't take it personal, but we have to have this conversation. Toya with a T, we're talking about slavery and how on that ship, that 3-month journey from Africa to here, they were subjected. I've seen photographs and stuff like that, where they draw it out and things about how they were laid at the belly of that beast. I say beast, belly of that boat, in their own urine, in their own feces, and different things like that. Ibrahim don't seem to think it happened that way, but everybody have their own opinion. I'm asking a question about devalue. When we got off that ship, looking the way we look, smelling the way we smell, were we devalued at that time? amongst other people and ourselves, and what has happened to change that, have it changed today?
I'm confused. So because I was locked on the ship and got off all smelly and funky, that's supposed to take away my value?
No, not. I'm asking if you were to see somebody in those
Right.
situations, and you see somebody, you're not gonna look at them in the best light. Man, you smell, man. Whoa, man, go clean yourself up, bro. Rather it strikes
Yeah,
you in that way or whatever, you're not gonna look at them in the best light until when they clean themselves up. Now you clean up. You might even look at them and say, man, you clean up well, or girl, you clean up real good. But there was a time in your looking at them, in your view of them, that was not the best. That's what I mean when I say devalue.
Not looking your best and devalue are two different things. When it comes to value, that means you're diminishing who I am as a whole. Has nothing to do with how I look or smell.
Did slavery do that?
So I think it was meant to, but it didn't have to, right? Conditions don't change your value. People get human trafficked, sex trafficked, kidnapped all the time. That their value goes somewhere because it happens. Beaten, abused, hurt, raped. I mean, all of us out here, if that's the case, we devalue. But that is not what causes your value. That's not what makes your value. You're valuable because God created you to be, period. And when we start to set precedence on what a value is how it gets broken. And that was the point and the purpose. Again, if you're talking about a system, whether it's European, Roman, or whatever, the difference between good and evil is to make you think you're less than. But just because conditions are one way, it doesn't mean that your value is any less. That's the other individual. That's the guidelines that the other individual is going along with.
And that's
determine that because
that's what I asked you. I said in our eyes and in the eyes of, well, that's why I said it in a way, in our eyes and in the eyes of others, what they value. So you hit perfect. Good.
Right. But it's still a thought process of the other person, because just because they feel like that doesn't mean that's true.
Absolutely.
That's their thought process. That's what they're trying to measure an individual's value against, but that is not the truth. A homeless person is still valuable. I don't care how much he stinks. A baby stinks. A baby a poo-poo on themselves in a pamper. That mean they're less valuable than a grown person at a poo-poo when they old enough to poo-poo in a pamper because they stink.
But see, again,
because their clothes are dirty.
Yeah, but there again is the and you said it a few minutes ago. It's in the eyes of that of the other individual, and that's what I'm asking. In the eyes of other individuals, seeing our ancestors in that way, looking and smelling the way that they were smelling in their eyes, upon viewing that, could it be a devaluation?
I don't know. You kind of. I mean, again, I just said no. That's not a value. That is the perception of someone else. You're not less valuable because you were a slave brought over here on the ship. Even if people look at you and feel like that's the case. No, because still look what we did. I mean, no, that doesn't change your value. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That's kind of the purpose.
See,
if you're a human being, you're breathing, there is still value to you. There's still value in you. And if people allow you to think that you're less valuable, then that is when the problem is. But even if you think that you are not valuable, you think you're nothing, you think you're not worthy, that's still not the truth. Everything is about perception. Everything is about mindset. And the purpose of slavery was to make us think that we were less than, but it wasn't the truth. So I'm trying to figure out, what are we talking about? Are we talking about what people think? Or are we talking about what the truth is?
No, I'm asking.
Because the person thinks that I'm less than don't mean that I am.
True.
So
true.
Again, we're talking about you bringing people here for a reason to break down. Of course, your goal is to make them think less than. That's your goal, because you can't have someone think that they're the same as you and think that they're going to be submissive to you. No, you have to put them in a predicament to where you think you're better. But it doesn't mean that that person's value has changed at all. Because value is a universal thing as a human being. Nothing determines your value. You're valuable just simply because you are a live being.
Yeah, and see, what you're saying, we actually talking pretty much saying similar things, but we're looking at it from different views. See, I'm looking at it from the value of how See, you're looking at it from the value of internal value and the value that you should have in yourself. I understand that. That's absolutely true. You're saying nothing wrong when you say that. But the question that I'm asking is the value that other people see in you outwardly. Do they see you as being valuable because of the way that you, because I've seen people, I walked up to homeless people here in Atlanta and they didn't look or smell the best, but they needed something. And I walk up to them, I sit there and I talk to them. My daughters used to get mad at me all the time, man. Daddy, why you always talking to everybody? Because that's what I do. And I go up to them, you need something, give them a couple of dollars, get something to eat, or we go somewhere, get something to eat or something. I got right here in Atlanta. I got my family with me, man. We're downtown in Atlanta, and I got these people because I'm not looking at your outward. I'm not looking at your outward opinion. I'm looking at it inwardly. I'm looking at inward, and I see value in you. Even the situation that you're in has nothing to do with your value. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm asking is outward people that's on the outside, not your internal value, but how people look at you, the other people. Do they see any value?
I mean, well, I guess, again, it's not everybody, but if we want to go with a majority, we're trained not to value people according to how they look. And I think that's in today's society. That's something that we do now in society. I don't think that was the case 1,000 years ago. I don't think we looked at people the same. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that because, like now, for instance, when they human traffic a person, it's anybody. It's not because they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but they're going to be used for the same intent, for whatever slave trade, sex trade, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even if we might not think that that person is valuable, they can go someplace else and get kidnapped, taken for whatever reason because another entity has know that there's value in them. You know what I mean? But I mean, yeah, I guess in today's society, we train to, if a person is not up to a certain part, and not take them seriously.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Toussaint, talk to me, brother.
Lord have mercy.
I got a background coming from somebody. I got a background coming from somebody's line. Everybody mute your line. I got some background noise coming from somebody's line. I don't know who line that is. I'm trying to narrow it down as to who it is. Good deal. Go ahead, Toussaint.
No, I was just my mind works terribly because when we talk, I try to visualize and try to look at things in a broad perspective and then try to narrow it down. And I thought about a normal, just everyday rock and a diamond. And then I went a little further. My little crazy mind thought about a good, fresh, nice steak. And then I look at it when it has been digested and it's in the toilet. It's the same thing. But the way you look at it, yeah, exactly. Ain't that something?
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Why did I say that? Why did I go there? Why is it even come to my mind? Because people treat you like crap. I can say crap because this is a Christian broadcast, but I don't want to say that. I want to cuss Cassandra, Rico, Mr. Hicks, Abraham, Zamari, Brian. Tell you, I want to say some things that really don't become me, but has been me. Because we're looking at this thing, and I'm disturbed at how we devalue. We really do. Man, look, you take a person we all made supposedly in the image of God, and here's one person that feel like they so close to him, or they made more like him, and they take me that's made more like him, and they don't look at me as a diamond. I'm a rock, and I'm not a steak. I'm crap. I've been digested already.
You're the other side of the steak.
I want to say it. I want to say it so bad. Tell it to stay.
Don't say it, brother. You're doing good. You're doing good. Don't say it. Don't say it.
But y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
I'm so we trying to paint a picture. Let's look at it. Let's take a look at it. Because we are Lord have mercy. How can you know how much you punishment you would get for treating a dog bad?
Mm-hmm.
You try it, set the dog afire. And or in the middle of town square or whatever how you want to say it, chop his head off or rip his balls out with a crowd around you. See what happens.
We don't. I guess we don't say testicles no more. We say balls now. Okay.
Well,
we say balls.
I could say peanut, but I ain't gonna say.
Okay. Well, this
you better go to somebody else. You better go to somebody else.
I think it's time, bro. Good deal. We're gonna go in this order. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna go Curtis, Cassandra, and then Ryan. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, Ryan, it is almost shameful, saddening, sickening, and downright to say that when he goes on the floor and talks about colored.
Hey, Curtis, you got a muffle going on with you, brother. Are you talking directly into the phone? You got a muffle out of your sound.
No, my phone was switching from the phone to my car.
Okay, got you. Much better.
I hope you heard what I was initially saying, because I don't want to say that again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When I hear the level of black hate and party ideology propaganda spewed and history misinterpreted, it is downright depressing and disrespectful. But I'm going to, in the sense of being a good Negro, a righteous Negro, I'm going to respect the opinion that balances the scales. Because, see, a lot of people.
Come on.
Help me, Jesus. A lot of people don't understand, man. And it's because they don't know. It's because they've been lied to, man. A lot of people don't understand, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Well, I was one of them lucky ones, brother. I was one of them lucky ones to stand in front of the great-grandson of my master, of my family's master, and watch him hold the black book, man. Watch him hold the black book and admit his family's inconvenient truth. Tell us where we came from, who brought us, where we sailed from before we got to America. The only thing he couldn't tell us was what part of Africa we came from. Only thing he couldn't tell us was what our original name was. I stood right there in front of that man. I'll never forget it. I will never in my life forget it. July 4th weekend, 1992. I sat right across from this man, not having no idea who he was. And that was on my grandfather's side. That was on my daddy's side. That was my daddy's father's family. My daddy's mother family was burnt out 3 times. It was so disheartening. My grandmother did not get her first birth certificate until my daddy was 2 years old. Had never had a birth. Ain't nobody know how old Annie Burrow was. It burned up. And to hear people disregard certain things about the level of discomfort and discontent that our people have gone through. Man, listen here, man. I got love for him, man. You know, listen, I've never had a problem with ignorance. I've said this before. I don't have not one problem with ignorance. A baby is ignorant. A child is ignorant. One who you have denied education to is ignorant. One who you have miseducated is ignorant. But self-perpetuated ignorance, brother, I'm sorry, I cannot tolerate. I will not tolerate. And my grandmamas told me that we have kissed enough ass that you don't have to do it no more. Now, I'm going to go to the corner and I'm going to transform back into my original self. I love y'all, man.
Good deal. Love you as well. Hold on, brother. We come right back to you in just 1 second. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Let me do this.
Yeah,
hold on. Let me get the number because people asking for the number. Give me 1 second. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Go ahead, Cassandra. Sorry about that.
I maybe, like I said, maybe I missed something because we were talking about slavery and the devalue of our people as a result of slavery. Listen, when they brought my ancestors here into South Carolina, Charleston, which is where I grew up in the city where my ancestors were brought in on the slave ship. So I feel the full effect of slavery because I had to walk and work in the area where the slave market is in Charleston. That's where I grew up. I grew up learning about slavery and what it was like and listening to the older people around me talk about what it was like for their parents. So if you don't believe that we were devalued completely by these people that brought us here, is something wrong with you. Somebody raping our women as they brought them over on a 3-month journey, beating them, throwing them over into the war. You don't think that was trauma and devaluing? What's wrong with you? Not what's wrong with them, because they were doing what they do. But as a people, when we got here, we were totally devalued, except for the economic part, which is what it was all about. That's why, you know what? You can be a scholar and be ignorant. That's just bottom line. You can have all of this damn knowledge and still be ignorant. Our people were devalued, brought here. We were treated like animals. And that is a problem that has perpetuated itself throughout our history. And we are still under the effects of being brought here, bound by chains, and treated like animals. We are still feeling the effects of that today. And if you don't know that, you ignorant. I don't care who you are. I don't care how educated you are. Some things we just need to wake up and smell a coffee. We were devalued, brought here. How could it be anything else? Being treated like an animal. I'm done.
Wow. Wow. I told y'all at the beginning. I knew it. I knew this is a very, very touchy, very sensitive topic that we're talking about today, but that's what we do. We talk about the real topics. That's why I love the Morning Glow. And I want each and every person that's listening to the broadcast to please share the broadcast. Come back and continue to share the broadcast. This is what we do here. This is what we do. Let me go to Ryan. Ryan, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
I missed a lot of the last few conversations being I'm at work. So I think I caught bits and pieces here or there. But yeah, educated on it or not, I kind of agree with Cassandra. There was a level of devalue. Absolutely. Anytime you do some of those things that were done to a human being, it devalues them, whether you want to accept that or not. The Jews got devalued when Hitler did what he did. Russians got devalued by their own people. Chinese got devalued by their own people. You know what I'm saying? Like, any type of atrocity has this level of devalue, especially on those that are experiencing it firsthand. Because it does something to your mind. And when it messes with your mind, it in turn messes with your spirit until you're broken. There's that word again, broken.
Yeah. Wow. We know
So,
now you know that word caused some problems before, but go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I don't give a rip. You don't like being broke, come see me. I got a job for you. I'm just saying though, it breaks your mind, it breaks your spirit, it breaks your will. And then when you get stuck in that mindset, whether you want to call it a victimized mindset or a victim mindset or not, you pass that along to your seeds.
Yeah.
Because you're stuck. You pass it along as if that's the only way of things. And then it creates a chain reaction. Just like we was talking about whooping kids the other day. And how if all you do is whoop them, then they think it's okay just to be violent. It's the same thing. You keep passing that mindset along and it stays, it sticks. It's like it starts to get enveloped into your DNA, into your code. Right? So, yeah, unequivocally, there is a level of devaluation to what happened, for sure.
Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input on this very sensitive topic that we're talking about today. We'd love to have your input. Mr. Hicks, talk to me, sir. Mr. Hicks, you there?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Sir. Yes, sir, I am. Do you hear me pretty good?
Yes,
I got a
sir.
headset on.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. What's on your heart?
Okay. All right. I was thinking about something Abraham said that I want to piggyback off him. And I think because of our ages, we share experience that was similar. With me, I lived in my first 6 years. I raised in Alabama with my grandparents, which I thank the Lord for, because it gave me a rooting. And but from that point on, every summer we traveled from New Jersey down. My mother was evangelist and she was doing her thing, and so I saw the contrast of the two situations. But it wasn't like a contrast where I say, okay, they got, man, them brothers down south, we got it hard. I saw in the north that we still had it hard in a different kind of way.
Yes.
And that the racism was just as intense. But yeah, when you experience those fighting black signs on the water fountain, there's certain gas stations you can't stop at, so it's an experience. It produces anger because you don't understand why it's happened. I just couldn't understand it. But I guess what I hear a lot of times when you talk about these subjects, people hear out of the subject what they want to hear. And sometimes, and the problem I've always had with me in particular, whatever crowd I was in, I was the crowd that read. I don't know when I started reading, but I've been reading all my life. A lot of people say that intelligence and food. I hear a lot of shadow whispers, and I hear them, but I don't get pulled in, and I don't think we should get pulled in and deal with this subject. You have to sort of approach it impassionately. You know, a lot of the people that came over the slave ships were intelligent people. They were people that the tribes put out because they were trying to bring something in you. You know, in fact, if you go through the history, the individual histories of the thing, it didn't crush everyone. We were devaluated, but what we had inside of our history, with the culture, agriculture, and nature, and all those things was things that added to this country. The inventions, the many inventions of the traffic, like open heart surgery, all the different things that these people from Africa that was pushed out, but they were the cream. And we came here and we added that to this here. So my suggestion is anything, is try to look at it impassionately, without the anger. It's the anger and because when you're angry, you don't think clearly. No one can think clearly angry.
Exactly.
But
amen, brother. Amen,
good conversation. But I know things, and I'm sure you will too. When you hit 60, when you hit 70 and 80, and you little people, you just look back and you saw longer than they saw. And if you're a student and if you really study, you have to see honestly that it wasn't the way they portrayed it. They portrayed it the way they did it because they wanted to get a certain emotional reaction and wanted to motivate people to change. So I'm not judging right or wrong, but I'm saying that's what it is. I mean, I got it. I mean, I was so hooked up in the hatred thing, man. I was ready to take people's head literally, not figuratively.
Yeah.
But that was a cult I was involved in. That was what I was taught. So I think the longer you live, the more you reflect on your life and your mistakes and your errors, and you change and you acknowledge that. But I'm at a point now with this subject. I just don't get angry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I see it and I look on the other side, just like the slaves suffered. The slave master suffered too. He gave himself deep psychological evidence that they still deal with the superiority thing. But in order to rise above it, you got to come out of the temporal and the physical and this government, this world thing, and you got to go into the spiritual. You got to look for some answers for this stuff outside the realm of human beings. And it draws you to the point that where we are now, where people looking for something to believe, young folks, they're looking for something to believe in, something to join. And the system give them those things, gives them their own group identity, black or white, Hispanic, homosexual, LPG, and all that stuff. And that's okay. But we are coming to a point where something is happening. I can see it. I've been around enough to see that there's something changing in the young folks that's coming into the world. In spite of that, I remember a long time ago.
Mistake, let me ask you a question.
Mistake, let me ask
you a question, brother. Hold on. I'm doing not just you, brother. I'm jumping in when people saying stuff because
yes, sir.
A question come to me.
I got you.
You said and you said something that was real powerful, brother. You said that you can see that there's a change. You can see there's something going on with our young people. That's powerful, brother. But is it? How do you see it, man? And I'm leaning on your expertise. You're of a certain age, so how do you see it, man? Is it a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Or is it something that's pretty just stagnated?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of positive and negative. There's a portion of young folks that are nihilists. They don't have any hope. They don't believe anything.
Wow.
But then you look around again now, the children of the slave masters doing this whole Black Lives Matter thing. It was the children of the slave master that was raised in the hell and advocated because they were learning things that wasn't being taught, but they were taught it in an aggressive kind of way to make them feel that it's okay to tear down windows and tear down stuff. And that works against anything that's progressive.
Good deal.
But yeah, I'm gonna pass it on.
Okay. Now, I want you to finish your thought because you was going somewhere. And I kind of jumped in on you a little bit. Did you finish your thought?
I don't really remember what it is. Can you get my age? That happened. but I do appreciate Tucson. He brought some levity to this thing. Give it back on. I didn't mean to laugh.
Good
deal.
Take
him out the corner.
Good deal. Good deal.
Give him some mercy. Give him some mercy.
Let him up out of there. Free him. Let my people go. Listen. This is a great conversation.
That's right. Let him out.
This is a great conversation, man. And like I say, it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable across the board. It really is. It really is. But we have to talk about it. And we're not going to always agree.
Raheem.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to call your name because Cassandra said
yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, I know. I know. Because, just because a person is passionate, why do we always read anger into it? Even the Bible says, be angry, but sin not.
Mm-hmm.
So just because I know that's directed at me, just because I'm passionate about I'm not angry with anyone. Let me say, I'm not angry at anyone, but I'm extremely passionate when it comes to my people and the things that we have been through. So don't take just because I raise my voice, that doesn't mean I'm angry. That means I'm impassioned about what I'm saying. So I want to make that clear because I know you don't know me, but anybody that knows me know I'm not angry. If I was angry, you would definitely know the difference. It's not that. So I wanted to put that out there because I don't want anybody to misunderstand the passion in my voice for anger.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Let me go to this person. I ain't came to this person yet. Whoa!
Well, then I would be angry all the time because I know I'm the loudest person on this.
I know that's right, Willa. Tell it, Willa.
Well, we talking about.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, young lady. Good morning. Good to have you. We're talking about this morning. We're talking about slavery, and we discussed the journey of 3 months or more from Africa to here, and how they was in the belly of that beast, and in their own and others' waste, urine, feces, got off, and was not the best representation of themselves, the way they looked and the way they smell. Now I'm asking a question: did slavery devalue us in our eyes, but more so in other people's eyes, the way that they view us then and now? Has slavery devalued us as a people?
Great question, Raheem, because I am gonna give you my opinion this way. It devalued us as a people because that's how other cultures look at us now because of the way we were brought in the past. Can I say that again?
Yes.
They do that because of what they saw, just like you said, how we were dragged like animals and beat. So yeah, other cultures look at us like that. But have we, I'm going in another direction, as a culture, as a people, show much, I ain't gonna touch it now, be like you in church. If it ain't hit you, don't take it personal. Have we as a culture today given other cultures an example that we're not animals, that we love one another, that we help one another, we take care of one another? Surely today, and I'm talking about today, Raheem.
Come on.
Our young people are not displaying that we are worthy of anything because we don't value one another's life.
Wow.
Not here. They disrespect the elderly. I've never seen how the young people disrespect the elderly, beat them down, take from them, steal from them. Man, you know what? The enemy tried to put you in a place where you really want to fight even against your people.
Yeah.
For real, Raheem. Just on yesterday, Raheem, they were talking about how a group of young people literally went to a neighborhood where there were elderly people, and I mean had them afraid to even walk down their street. Come on, Raheem. Is that how
Wow.
we give homage to
No.
the ones who paved the way for us, who worked for where they are now, get the little pension to just take care of their medical or whatever it is? Is that how we show love to them? Raheem, come on. We got to do better.
Got to do better. Got
We
to do
got to
better.
do better as a culture. If I want somebody to treat me like what I am, at least I got to look like it. Come on, Raheem. Let's go. And that's
Exactly.
what my opinion right now, Raheem, is on my heart.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Talking about slavery. And did that devalue us as a people?
Amen, sister.
Did that devalue us as a people? I don't know why Mr. Hicks just jumping in like that. I don't know why Mr. Hicks doing that. But let me go to our Zamar.
That wasn't me.
That was me. You want to?
That was, who was that? In there. Anyway,
Abraham.
Zamari, talk to me, sis.
Yeah, I love Willa. Girl, you said that, man. I don't think that there's any more truth than that to be said. What she just said right there, like what, that just made me feel something. But it is sad to say, but that is in a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of just in the young people in general, right? Like there is not a lot of respect for the ones that came before them anymore.
What
And
does that come from?
I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe ask Willa. Ask Willa because she just put everything else out there. I don't really know. I don't know why.
Hold on, bro. Go ahead.
I just don't know why it's changed so much. Because even with my own children who are typically very respectful, but like my 13-year-old, for instance, she has a very strong sense of self, right? Which I respect that, and we give her freedom to be herself. But there are times where she goes overboard with it, and then we got to go, hold on. Who exactly do you think you're talking to like that right now? And maybe that is part of it, where there's not somebody within the house who is stepping in and correcting that.
Yes.
Or like my husband just said, music is a huge influence on youth, and whatever's in the music, whatever they're listening to. And of course, like you said, the lack of fathers in the home as well, or mothers. Even these days, sometimes there's lack of mothers because now you got a lot of single dads too. I think it's just a culmination of just different things combined. But man, I just don't know because I could be completely wrong. I'm a 70s baby, late 70s baby. So I don't know what the
Can it be
60s and the 50s and all that looked like before, even in single parent homes. I'm sure there were some,
Zamar?
but
Do you
it
think it
just
could
seems
be
like there was still discipline in the homes where the kids weren't being brought up to be so disrespectful. So I don't know what happened.
Zamar? Do you think it could be them seeing a lack of hope, and so they're giving up, and they don't see any sunshine in their future, and so they're giving up, and they just acting accordingly, doing the things that they think that they should do for this moment?
In some circumstances, I can agree with that. Sure. I can absolutely agree with that. Because, just from my personal experiences and knowing what the lack of hope feels like and what that looks like and how that can make you react to certain things, sure, that can definitely be a factor. Absolutely. But like, I can, when Willa was just talking and the way that she was saying what she was saying, like, I could just, man, what if she were to say that to some youth? And I think that's really what a lot of the youth is missing now, is people like herself, or any number of people that are on here who speak that way. Cassandra, just any number of you guys that are on here.
Mm-hmm.
Someone to come into those kids' lives and say those very things.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, let me show you something else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think would give them that hope. That would give them some sort of direction that they could follow.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed.
There you go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to see, and Boys in the Hood kind of comes to mind with that.
Mm-hmm.
With was it Boys in the Hood, and Lawrence Fishburne was the dad in that, I believe, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how he was sitting, I remember this is like the one scene that's always stuck in my brain, where he's sitting on the curb or standing on the curb, and he's talking to all the kids that are out there, all the boys,
Mm-hmm.
and just giving that wisdom and that advice. I was like, man, so that's missing now.
Yeah.
Those people to give that wisdom and that advice and that direction. That's
That
definitely
guidance.
missing now.
That
And the
necessary
guidance.
guidance. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Ibrahim, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Well, some of the things y'all were talking about, and Willa was saying, and Mr. Hicks was saying, the things that really hit me up, and what the lady was saying just before me is, why don't we respect our elders now? The same reason, to me, y'all disrespect your elders. You see, because to me, you're talking about my life. You're trying to create slavery. And you said my opinions on what people actually did to maintain their dignity and respect, and still maintain their dignity and respect under adverse conditions. No, and no, what y'all see is what TV showed you, what movies showed you, and what some people's opinion was about it. But when you lived in a segregated South, when there were still shanty towns, you want to talk about slave quarters. Shanty towns are worse than slave quarters. Not only black people live in shanty towns, they have white people in it. They call it cabbage towns.
Ibrahim, let me ask you a question before hold on, brother, I'm the question asker. Let me do this, man. Let me ask you a question based on what you just said. And I want to make sure, I want to clarify this for my listeners, for our listeners. Are you saying that our level of understanding is so shallow that only way we can get our understanding is by looking at a television show or something like that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think all your opinions are based on narratives, the cultural narratives, right? So the kids are turning you feel, because I have been, y'all have literally attacked me on this show because of what I feel and what I say and what I seen, not what I thought, but what I seen.
I think it has a lot to do too. I think it has a lot to do. Yeah, I'm absolutely. I'm gonna let you finish, but
you're gonna misinterpret what I'm saying,
brother. I'm trying to get some clarity as to what you're saying. If you let me do what I do, I'm gonna let you talk. But my thing is, I think you saying that we do these things to you, but at the same time, brother, we can probably talk to anybody on this broadcast, and they'll say that you do the same thing that you're saying that we do to you. You devalue everything that we say, brother. And you say, and what you'll do, you say, well, I don't think you say things in a way I don't think you understand, or I don't think y'all know about this, brother. You devaluing our intellect like we don't know nothing, like nobody know nothing.
If you think I devalue, if you think I devalue intellect, then obviously you don't want knowledge.
Oh, because so basically what you're saying, we don't want knowledge because it don't come from you. So basically you're saying, basically
knowledge is the thing that you acquire.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like out of space, right? Now, what I was trying to say is, you keep cutting me off, and it's like this here, right? I had an experience. I actually met people in my younger life that had been born in slavery, even though they didn't suffer some of the things because they were born after slavery, but they suffered it after slavery.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you tell people that, they were ignorant, they couldn't speak a language, they couldn't do this, right? And you tell them this, right? And then their grandparents are telling them what they came through, right? Then what are you telling the kids? Why should they respect you? Why should they respect you? The same thing's going. They see the same thing going. What authority you have to tell them what to do when you can't even control your own life because of this man and that man? That they don't have the power themselves to raise themselves up and rebel and rebel in a positive manner, and that they have ownership. You tell people this is not your country. Then why should I do anything in the country? Why should I be a part of this? Why should I change things? Why should I make it better? Right? Because this is not your country. Why anything? Why they brought us over here and changed and everything? They disrespect us. They fight us. But you don't talk about the people themselves. That's disingenuous, right? I told you that I was born in a segregated South and went home. And y'all like, oh, okay, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Yeah, that has not to do with it because what y'all talking about actually was happening in my lifetime. People still out in the same plantation of cotton fields. So you disrespecting your ancestors by saying like, oh, that happened to them. Like they didn't do nothing about it. Like they didn't fight back. History will show you that black people fought back from day one. What people weren't submissive like y'all claim they are. Y'all submissive because
we never said we never no. I'm gonna mute you for a second, brother, because nobody ever said anything about anybody being submissive. You add what you want to add into the conversation. I've never heard anybody say anybody being submissive or this or that. That's not true, brother. That's not true at all. That's not true. But my thing is this right here. If a person, I'm not gonna say me, but if a person get their intellect or what they think is their intellect from a fool, what are they going to be? They're gonna be another fool. And so to say that, you did this and you're not the only one that lived during that time, brother. You're not the only one that lived during that time. And because of that reason, your experience is your experience. I never try to take your experience away from you because it's your experience. But at the same time, I cannot allow you to devalue anybody else's experience or what they know or what they have dealt with. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
Man, we have a responsibility. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what the spirit of my grandma Annie Merrill saying to do. We better keep our eyes on Stephen. Yeah, I said it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say it again. Better keep our eyes on Stephen. Because at the end of the day, what has happened has happened. You can try and sugarcoat that. You can try and make it look like it wasn't when it was. You can try and dress it up. You can put lipstick on a pig. You can put it in a nice dress, a nice towel to dress, a Ferragamo watch, red bottom shoes, and a pig still gonna be a pig, no matter how you dress it up. To entertain self-perpetuated ignorance is just not something that I care to do. Because see, I know my family history, and I'm not gonna sit here and paint no picture like it was all peaches and cream on a doggone plantation. I'm not gonna paint no picture like these mugs came over here on the Viking that sails the European river. And it was all lavish. And I'm not gonna paint that picture. Some people was landing their feces. That's not Hollywood. That's true.
Yes.
That's why it took so long. For those that don't know, that's why Brad Pitt had to go into his own pocket to do that movie, 12 Years of a Slave. While Nate Parker had to go in his own pocket to do the new movie Birth of a Nation. That's why Spike Lee had to go in his own pocket to do Malcolm X. And this list can go on and on and on and on and on. The problem is, in my opinion, is that everybody wants the black race to be held accountable for certain things that have been. I wish you had a psychologist on. I swear to God, I wish you had a psychologist on. My sister, Ryan's wife,
Zamari.
she said something. Zamari. She brought up something that was real powerful.
So I'm going to answer her question because I feel like she deserves an answer. She's a seeker. She's a seeker of she's a person who questions knowledge and truth. So there's a terminology during slavery called bucking. What we are witnessing, even down to what my lovable spiritual leader out of Chicago, Willa, what we are experiencing is modern day bucking. And the bucking has taken place over the course of 400 plus years. It just has transmogrified to a level of self-hate, disrespect, and unmourning, and lack of honor. But what we are looking at and experiencing in today's world is modern day bucking. When you look back at history, right, the slave male was bucked in several different types of ways. One was he was made to fight, kill, fight, whatever he had to do so that master could win his money. He was made to do that to his own people.
Wow.
Psychologically, that will alter. It has been proven now scientifically that psychologically that will alter the DNA and chromosome of a human if you psychologically cripple them. That is proven. That's not conjured up. That's not made up. That is fact. That's scientific fact.
Wrap it up for me, Kurt.
What I am. I'm landing the plane right now. What we are experiencing with all of this young hate towards the elderly, all this hate towards each other and towards self is another form or a translated form of bucking that it was intended. All y'all gotta do is read the Willie Lynch letter. Read it. It's hard to get through. I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to get through, without a doubt. But if you read it, you will fully understand what is going on.
Good deal. We're going to keep this thing going, man. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here, man. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us, man. And you could be a part of the conversation as well. We're talking about slavery and did it devalue us as a people in our eyes and in the eyes of others.
5 minutes, Ryan. What are you talking about? 2 more minutes.
I know. Watch how fast it go by. Okay. Watch how fast it go by. Watch. I understand, Cody. I got you. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Toya with a T. Need to hear your heart, sis. Talk to me. Cassandra, coming to you next. Toya?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I'm going back against the grain because I don't feel like, Harriet Tubman felt like she was devalued even though she was beaten and raped. I think we go through a lot of things in life. I've been beaten. I've been raped. I've been in abusive relationships. I've done a lot of things to myself. I probably should be devalued, but that's a lie. If I let that be the case, if I let that depict my value, because I went through a mental spell and I came out from a war and my mind ain't right now, I'm on the street in dirty clothes, and that determines my value. Or if other people look at it, I'm still on the other side of the board. I feel, what we're saying. I feel, what we went through. Other people might look at you as weak or lesser than, but that's still not the case. It's still not the truth.
Can a person be broken?
I think a lot of people allow the things around them that happen to break them. That's the devil's job. to throw everything that he possibly absolutely can at you to make you think that defines you are broken. But when those Harriet Tubmans, they glad they slept on her, because look at the story she put forth. Or people like Nat Turner, or there's tons of us, Black people. The intent that they intended, trying to break us, that was supposed to break us. Some of us knew that we were more than that. We were greater than that. I'm not going to let that break me, because I've been through that, and not by white people, by my own. So am I supposed to let that break me? Am I supposed to feel less value now because I've been raped before? Am I supposed to be less value because it happened at the hands of Black people and not white? No, I didn't let those things determine my value. And I believe that history shows that some of the Black people that made it through and after that knew that they were more valuable than what these European people had been portraying them to be, how they had been treating them, the position. And then the fight grew. The fight grew because we knew that we were more valuable than what we were treating us. So again, I get the intent. That's the devil's job. That's what we do, to be wicked, rape you, beat you, yell at you, tell you that you're less than, say in front of other people, oh, don't have no kids. Put other people in front of me. Don't teach me anything. Send me to school all day and let somebody teach me. And when I get home, you don't want to be bothered. Just all these things to make me feel less valued. But it isn't until you yourself give in to that value system of you being less than that you become less than. But I'm just saying, for the people that made it through, the Harriet Tubmans, Nat Turner didn't make it. I feel like the things that happened to them, they did not let that determine their value in the slavery time, which, that just lets you know what you go through doesn't value you. I think we have a couple of young ladies who were kidnapped years ago. I think we have stories of children who went through atrocious things, but now they're free, they escaped or whatever. They're no less valuable than the free person. I don't care what people think. I don't care how, people treat them bad too, I'm quite sure. People get into accidents all the time and become deformed. And people look at them as if they're less than. Some people treat them as if they're less than because they got a mental disability or disease. But just because someone looks at you like that, or someone that happened to you to make you feel like that, that's not necessarily the truth. That's not what makes a person valuable. You know what I'm saying? So, I get it. I feel where you're coming from. I feel what the energy is supposed to go in. But there are probably, 1 in a million who knows not to let, no matter what happened, what you go through, how life whoop you, how people treat you, what pit they throw you in. You can get locked up with lions. You got to know you're more valuable than that, and you got to keep fighting.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Cassandra, talk to me.
So I have sat down and talked to Harriet Tubman's great niece who lives here in Atlanta, and she did feel devalued for a long time. And she had these epiphanies, these visions where God talked to her and let her know that she could be free. And not only she could be free, but she had a responsibility to help free others. So I'm not saying that it can't shift to where you feel valued, but you have to be able to get to that place. And when you have been treated like crap, and somebody has told you over and over and over again that you are nothing, you are nobody, you are less than nothing, it does rub off. When we were doing Birth of a Nation, which is the Nat Turner story, Nate Parker asked us to do the research. See some of the things that he said. Nat Turner felt devalued. He felt devalued. So these people they came to a place where they felt like, okay, I'm going to be free or die. They had to come to that place. But slavery had instilled in them that they were just what they said. They're the masters. They belong to the masters. They do what the masters say, because you got to be a good little nigga. You got to be a good nigga. And the way that you do that is obeying your master. So then we have to realize what these people went through to get to that place. How often do we see Harriet Tubmans now? How often do we see Nat Turners now? Very rarely.
Very rarely, because we're not willing to stand up and die for what we believe.
Yeah.
There are some of us that will, but a lot of people, because they have felt so devalued for so long, it is hard to them to understand that they could stand up and fight against whatever it is that oppresses them. So yeah, it all sounds good. It sounds good. But the bottom line is, when slaves came here, they felt devalued. They had been treated like animals. And it took time for them to get to the place, even though they knew who they were. Some of them were leaders from their tribes and different things. That still did not take away the fact that these people had literally instilled in them in a 3-month journey. You ain't nothing now. You under our control. We own you.
Wow.
And that took time for them to get over.
Wow. It's a tough topic, y'all. Tough topic. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. 508-924-3521. Go on this order right here. Joseph, Donald, and then we're going to go to Ryan. Ryan said he has something as well. So I want to hear what Ryan about to say to us. Boy, look here. He's about to be a doozy. So let me go to Joseph. Joseph, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Morning Glow family. Good to hear y'all this morning. Y'all sounding good.
Hey, good to have you, brother.
Passing on knowledge and information. Yes, sir. I think we've been impacted psychologically from the ongoing inequality, the ongoing policies of injustice. But it doesn't measure who we are. It does not measure our strength. It does not measure our intellect. It does not measure our determination to be equal to any human being on this planet. And when people say that we're acting like victims, anytime Black people speak out against the structural inequalities in this system, we get labeled communist, socialist, victims, so on and so forth. But Frederick Douglass said way back in 1850s, he said, without a struggle, there's no progress. He said anybody that wants progress without a struggle is somebody that want to have a harvest without tilling the land. They want the mighty ocean without its mighty roar of waters. You're not gonna get progress without struggle. So we're not victims. In fact, history explains carefully just how victorious Black folks are. And this is what many are afraid of. This is why the U.S. tampers with Haiti's internal affairs and keep them off footage, because if that first Black Republic was to stand up like a sleeping giant, wake up and stand up, then many Black folks throughout the diaspora, South America, Brazil, Colombia, all down there, Black folks everywhere would stand up. And boy, you think being on a football field is powerful. You see Black folks on a football and basketball field, and you see how powerful they are in their athletic prowess. Man, you wait till these shackles on our minds are dropped, and all Black men and women understand fully the history that we've gone through. All of the massacres across this country to stop us from building nice communities, strong communities, all of that was out of fear of who we are. So no, I feel victorious. Man, I feel like I'm one of the most powerful men on the planet.
Wow.
Because I'm a part of a people who are some of the most powerful people in the whole world. And everybody know it except masses of Black folks.
Wow.
And that's gonna change.
Wow. 508-924-3521. Phone lines open. Give us a call. Toussaint. Ryan coming to you next.
You coming to me?
Yes, sir.
You put me on program?
Go ahead, man. What's on your heart?
Do you think Nebuchadnezzar was stupid?
No.
Do you think the Babylonians was crazy when they was trying to build a kingdom? Check it out. See who they brought. I mean, we're seeing what we're kind of I don't know if I got it right, but I think we're kind of overlooking what Abraham might be saying. It was the best of the best that they took to make the kingdom, to learn the language of the Medes and the Persians. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azrael, I think it's the name. I don't like to call them Meshach, Abednego, and all them kind of things, because that was the slave name. That was the names of their gods. They wanted to mimic that, to devalue them. So Nebuchadnezzar built a statue, and he says, when you hear the music, you just bow down. What did they do? They stood up. So the biblical truths are there in the conversation we're talking about. We talk about Esther, and she, same way. Little old slave girl, Hadassah, and Mordecai. Haman come up and says, you know what? When you see me riding on this horse, you bow down like everybody else. And Mordecai stand up there like a man. That made Haman mad as
fire.
Yeah. But then what did they want to do? The same thing. Annihilate the whole nation just because of that. They all like that. So we got to kill them off. So is there anything new under the sun? No. The same thing. They just might be British. I'm just saying.
Wow. What look, what a way to finish it. What a way to finish it. Ryan, talk to me, brother.
Let me just say this. Somebody can get mad at me if they want to. But what I'm hearing today is a bunch of people with experience, education, and heart talking about a subject that, like you said, need to be talked about, right?
Yes.
We had a question earlier. We were talking about hope. You mentioned hope and why the young or the youth are acting the way they are. There's multiple reasons. Music, lack of fathers or mothers in the home, lack of discipline. I see that all the time. A lot of people ain't even disciplining their kids no more. But where do you learn hope from? You don't learn it from a book. You learn it from those around you and their experiences, right? What they've been through and their victories. Okay, so where I'm going with this is we got all these people with these beautiful minds on this show who have the ability to teach these youth hope. And instead of arguing this point and that point, what we need to be doing, I'm not saying nobody's doing that, so before somebody say that, we should use what we're talking about with each other and the people listening in and provide that hope, because we have the means. Everyone on this station has the means. Why don't you do a morning glow live somewhere? Throw out invitations everywhere to all communities. Have people roll up and just start preaching that hope. Because that's what they need. That's why these kids are acting like this. You're absolutely right. They don't have no hope because they're not being shown that there is hope. We have the means to do it.
Yeah.
We take a village, right? We the village.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good deal. Good deal. Boy, you just dropped the mic, didn't you?
I might have. Let me pick it back up right quick.
Pass it on. Pass the mic. Pass the mic. Ibrahim, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Mr. Hicks coming to you next. Then after that, Kurt.
Well, now the conversation is getting to the narrative. I was exposing the word hope and the word of giving kids. Well, how can you train somebody to have hope or discipline or understand their value if you don't give them value. You know, I heard it was mentioned about Nat Turner, but what was forgotten about that Nat Turner was tired of reading the slave Bible, which was making his people comfortable with being in that position. That's what caused revolt. And then we use things, we forget the uprising in Charleston, South Carolina. We forget the black man that actually started the underground network down south. We forget the nation in Florida, the black nation in Florida. We forget the black nation in South Georgia. We don't want to talk about that. We forget the 1811 takeover of northern Louisiana by black men and black men who was probably trained as for defensive and offensive. It took the regular army and the militia to take them out, you know, and the people out, right? We don't talk about Demar Vesey, the one that founded Chicago, the one that founded land, that founded Chicago. What this was, he wasn't a slave. He was never enslaved, you know, and how he did what he did. We forget W. Boyce was never enslaved, you know. We forget things like this, and the point I'm trying to make is this, right? We don't talk about our successes enough. We don't talk about what we did in spite of that. When you talk about slavery, right, you dehumanize people when you talk about how they were done and not what they did. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Involved.
That's powerful.
Even I mentioned Fannie Lou Hamer, right? And why she raised up to be one of the most influential people, but she's forgotten for her because that's the way she was, right? She wasn't pretty. She wasn't well educated, but she could speak very well, you know, and she understood her people and what they were going through, and she wanted to vote, and she said, I should have the right to vote because I'm American, and that was it. And she said, sister, she almost died, she almost got killed from it, everything, right? Medgar Evers. We don't really listen. What we listen to is a intellectual diatribe in position and narrative, so they could control and influence people the way they wanted to, the education and everything, right? We want to talk about the victimization, and it's victimization. It's you are victims, but we want to talk about what they did. You can talk about prisons, but when you hear prison, they talk about what they did inside of prison. You know what I mean? You say, well, that couldn't be true. I heard this, that, and another thing. But it's how we live. I was free because I was free in my mind. We don't want to hear stuff like that. We want to hear the stuff that should have contained them, oppressed them, and that, because we don't know today how we can overcome our problems and the problems develop. Some of us stuff brought on. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to down you guys, but how can you not down me and my ancestors if you didn't live it? I lived it. I met my ancestors. I was trying to send a copy of my ancestry tree to you guys. My ancestry go back to before America was American in the 1700s, as far as I can go. Before the Constitution of the United States, before 1776, the mid 1700s. I can trace them back that far. What does that mean? I can trace to the slave man because they weren't slaves, but they were Negroes. That's why they was on the slave manifest. You know, I can go on and on and on. And I got family members got different stories. Some came in on the ship from Savannah. You know, my people told me we were Creek Indians, right? For God's sake. And then I researched and I found that's a possibility, a strong possibility for Creek Indians or whatever. But I have a strong possibility that we were here before the Europeans came. It's documented, but we don't talk about those things. We talk about, nowadays the modern narrative is, well, you can't do this because you never did this before. Oh, I don't trust another black person to do this because look what y'all doing in their neighborhoods, right? And stuff like this, right? We tell what do you tell our kids? Critical race theory or whatever. You telling our kids, well, look, this is what happened, this was done to us and everything. So therefore, okay, that's American education. No, that's not American education. Talk about the black folk still down there in Florida, in the oldest city, St. Augustine. Talk about that. Talk about how they survived, how they fought against the Americans when America became religious. Talk about the 300 black men. Don't talk about Chris Aztec only. Talk about 200 black men that was the first big battle in the American Revolution. 300 free black men. One black man was able to defeat the British and send them back. Talk about things like that's what I talk about. I talk to kids all the time. I talk to my kids. I see how they were struck by the roots thing. They were teenagers. They were all. I said, look, no, that's that man's story. Let me tell you the whole story. Let me tell you the rest of it, the other side of the story. I'll tell you where we look at them and what we did in spite of all that. The little secrets we had, where gospel comes from. Wade in the water, chilling, all these things, right? The Negro spirituals. They came to people were rebelling and found a way to get out from under that. And the stories about people fought. Intelligence, you go down here in Georgia, I think Obama read on the Quran that was written from memory by a slave that was taken to Georgia. He still had his intelligence written by memory in Arabic.
Good deal. Good deal.
You see? I can go on about this, right? You had free people free black men that came over from Europe to America. They say 1619. In 1619, Maryland passed a law that started the black could marry white women. That's what came with the black and white things to develop here in this country. Right? Specifically.
That Stay right there, sir. Preacher.
The first British slavery.
Preacher, you're putting a lot of great information out there, man. I'm loving what you're doing, and I love the direction that you're going in. And what you're saying is, dealing with both sides of the coin. I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate that, because there is two sides to every coin. So I definitely appreciate what you're saying and where you're going with that part of the conversation. But let me go to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart?
Oh wow, I was thinking, and and that's what the podcast always done for me. And between the time, it gives me a chance to really think and let's see a source can guide me somewhere. But I was thinking about when I was little, 6, 7, 8 years, going through the Bible class, and I was learning the history of Jesus and his miracles and the things that he said. And at that young age, I had a faith and belief in that and how it eroded over time, because he was saying things like, action is given unto you. And these things that I'm doing, greater things are you can do. And if you had the faith of a mustard seed, all those good things, but walking out in the world and then walking, like I said, coming back what Ibrahim is saying, coming from down south, coming to Newark and having white people maybe call you this and have black people, because there's both sides down there calling you things. I believe this is my the solution to this problem is personal, it's individual, and it's going to require finding out exactly what, because I believe it is the truth. I believe that I know this from science, from the Vedic yoga and people that practice in India and different mystical things, that we as human beings have capabilities that are untapped. Some people say that the DNA that we have in us, that they call junk DNA, is some kind of way DNA that was altered. It was disconnected because it gave us the ability to live longer, the ability to tap into that thing they call clairvoyance, telepathy. And we have all these things, and the various stories in the Bible show us where this was utilized. So I think it's a rough effort, but it's a personal effort to go inside yourself and find out, if it's true, action is given. That's the word. That's the truth. I believe it. So if it's not happening, it's something over here on my side. It's like James said, you can't act waveringly. You can't act. You can't be. It's a double-minded man is double-minded man is. Anyway, it's like unstable. You don't have the ability to focus, and it gives you how you know when you're on this path. It's the fruits of the spirit. And the fruits of the spirit is, gentleness, kindness, understanding, patience, long suffering. Not returning evil for evil, praying for your enemy. It seems like hard things to do in this world around us, but it's the target that I always aim for. I fall short. I do, but that's my hope. My hope is this: that at the end of this thing, like Paul said, I fought the good fight. I ran the race to the end, always shooting for that target, trying to get better, trying to not return evil for evil. It ain't easy. It ain't. But I tell you what, you feel like a sense of reward every day when you look back. You say, "Boy, I did. I hit the target. I got close to target today than I did yesterday."
Wow, that's
and
good.
Then those periods, you say, "I'm gonna stop shooting the target." And then you see how your life unravel when you stop shooting the target.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pick this bull up and aim again. I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna go back and apologize for this wrong that I said or did, and I did it to myself too, because anytime you do things outside, it's like a thing. You're doing it to yourself.
Yes.
Because we're all connected.
Exactly.
In Him we live and move and have our being. Okay.
Good deal. Good deal. I'm definitely appreciating where we're going and where we're ending up with this particular conversation. Curtis, what's on your heart? And then we're going to Willow. Kurt, talk to me, brother. Kurt, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I had to hit the mute button. know, every single time we talk about an African American issue, look, it's safe to say that, and I sent you I shared a video with you that I stumbled over the other day, Jane Elliott, and she was speaking in front of a probably 97, 98% targeted white audience. And if you look at the audience, specifically elderly, she was talking to this white audience, and she said, by show of hands, how many people in this room would trade the position that they're in now to be in the same position as their African American counterparts? By show of hands, raise your hand and or stand. And nobody stood. She said, okay, maybe you all didn't understand the question. By show of hands and or standing, how many people in this room right now would trade to be in the place and or position and situations that your African American counterparts are in this country right now? She said, okay, so nobody raised their hand. Nobody stood. She said, so what your behavior just told me is that you fully understand that what is going on to them and their communities is not appropriate. Right? And it always bothered me. I don't know where we get that. I ain't figured out where this come from, because, you know, my brothers, both of my brothers have lived experience 20 years above my experience. But see, I remember them burning a cross in my backyard, right there in a small town called Dublin, Georgia. I remember them burning a cross in my backyard because of who my mama was, because of who my uncle was, because of who my auntie was, because of my family's name. And when they found out that it was some Stanleys living in that house, we got to send a clear message. There's some Underwoods living in that house. We got to send a clear message. So when I hear brothers speak and they talk about victim stancing, in which I work with those type of people every single day of my life. The one thing about victim stancing that nobody mentions is that in order to victim stance, there must be some form of trauma there first. You understand? Now, folks throw victim stancing out there to deny or decrease the opportunity, not even realizing it, to deny or decrease the opportunity of learning. So let me break this thing down for you. And I'm not going to be a preacher because I'm going to land this plane right here. You have heard me say, and most people on this panel have heard me say time and time and time again, and I know this not only as the teacher, but as the student. I can teach my child everything about African American accomplishments and history and this, that, and the third. I can teach it to them all. If those things are not reinforced in the modern society and given culture, though, if those things are being taught that is an alternative fact, meaning a lie, or meaning not true, or dispelled as truth, if that is the dominant teaching, and by ignoring it and taking it out and not teaching it at all, it's just like saying it's a lie. It didn't happen. It don't exist. By doing those things, although I taught it at home, it stands a greater propensity to fall on deaf ears.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And that's what it is, bro. And people keep trying. Every time we talk about a black issue, the brother, oh my God, name start with a J. He just said it.
Come on, Joseph.
Joseph. Every time there's a black, and he done said it at least one time, every time he come on the show. God is trying to send y'all a message, man. He's telling y'all to stop letting these people with these false ideologies of what history really is. Stop letting these people control your narrative. He done said it. He says every time he on the show.
Wrap it up, Curtis.
Every time we have a conversation about black issues, somebody has to make a comment like we wrong.
Wow. Stay right there, brother.
Here they go again.
Stay right there, brother. We got to keep this thing
going.
Here
they go again.
Okay. Let's keep this thing going out. Well, then we're gonna go Joseph and Zamari.
You know what, Raheem? I was listening to Ryan. To all the people that's been on the conversation since Ryan, this has stuck with me. He made a good point about us teaching our children hope. We always got the what, but here's the how. Just like the Bible says that faith comes by hearing. Our today's generation don't want to hear. First of all, they think they know everything. And most of us who read the guide, and I use the Bible because the Bible helps us go through it all. He said that our mustard seed of faith will move mountains. And you know how big a mountain is.
Yes.
So whatever struggle it is that I've had, I go to the instructions if I want to be fixed. That's why he always asks the question, do you want to be made whole? Some people don't want to be. Some people like just being stuck where they are. Now, certainly, Raheem, I always said I get homage to my ancestors.
Yes.
But I ain't saying that. I got to move forward. I utilize it. I utilize this conversation always as a race. Because the Bible says the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but the one that endures to the end. That means as I go through this race, I'm going through. I've had hard times. I've had bad times. People did this. They stomped on me, spit on me. I went through the struggle. But the difference between a sinner and a saint, we got up. You keep it moving. Just like Toya said, she keeps it moving.
Yeah.
And she keeps it real. She keeps it real. Whatever she went through, you ain't going to know it today because she's not going to get that same power or that same entity that the enemy stole from her. She ain't giving it to him today. Because that's how he wins. That's how anything that you went through wins. And you're constantly it would happen 20 years ago and you still arguing about that? You're giving it too much of your life. First of all, you don't know how long you're going to be here. And is it really worth that?
Exactly.
So when I'm just trying to get people to understand and think, because when you want to change, the Bible said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That means you got to renew it with something different.
Yeah.
If I keep analyzing the beating, the spitting, yeah, that's going to bring some kind of emotion to you because you got a heart. You feel that way. But don't let it be the rest of your life. That's all I'm saying right here.
And
that's all I'm saying.
Hold on.
God said he wants us to have an abundant life, man. And come on right here.
Wow. And that's what's on my heart. Go ahead, say it now.
And that's what's on my heart.
Good deal. We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. I know y'all surprised. Y'all didn't know it was gonna come out that good, did you? Y'all didn't know it was gonna come out that good. Joseph, talk to me, Joseph. Y'all didn't know that saying was gonna come out that good.
Hey, were you bringing it, Raheem?
That sounds good.
Yeah. And I've been reading Howard Zinn book again, of people's history, because you almost got to read it twice to glean some of the information that he has in the book of people's history. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess I'm on my second reading, but he had said some, and it is helpful to understand the mindset of those who manage this system. And he was saying early on in the history of America, where some of the intelligentsia were saying that because the Mexican people had intermarried with the indigenous people, the mestizos and some African people, that they had become a Mongoloid nation. And he said it'd just be a matter of time before the ingenuity of the Anglo-Saxon and the determination would overcome them. And they have this mindset toward all white people, that somehow they will subdue them with their technology and aggression. And this is a mindset of those who manage the system. In the Pentagon and the War College and everything, there are whole topics and discussions on African American people and how we have to be monitored and how certain of us have to be detected early on so that they could be stopped. Just for another example, if African Americans and Trinidadians and Jamaicans and Haitians and other African descendants of slaves were to get together, as was the case with Marcus Garvey, that would be a major threat. That would be a major threat to the paradigm that Anglo-Saxon want to maintain and carry through. The ultimate aim is world domination. That's what white supremacists want. That's why the United States soldiers are in Africa right now, and that's why deals are made with the Asians and so on and so forth. But we have to be at the table. If we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Wow.
And so we have to think critically. We must think like world leaders. And in fact, it's high time for all the major leaders of marginalized groups in America to hold a summit right in front of these people so they'll understand that we're not stupid.
Wow.
And that we will have a say at the table. Just as Joe Biden's going around the world right now, solidifying, the partnership with NATO and other countries for the protection of the U.S. and those countries. Well, inside this country, marginalized people have to come together just like Biden and have these same kind of talks and meetings so that we can offset the balance of the races in this country.
Good deal.
Now that's dangerous talk there. Now, and I like what Jesus said. He that would seek to save his life will lose it, but he that loses for my sake will gain it. You can't be afraid to die in this struggle.
Exactly.
You can't be afraid to die. And that's how they get you. They get you with that, and they get you with money. You cannot bow down to idolatry of money, and you cannot fear. You're gonna die anyway. That's what Fannie Lou Hamer. That's where Fannie Lou Hamer was. That's where Dr. King was. That's where Malcolm was. When you get to that point, you're a threat.
Good deal. Good deal. And that brother said, either we're gonna be at the table or we're gonna be on the menu. Listen to what was said to you now. Either we're going to be at the table or we're going to be on the menu. Which side do you want to live on? Zamari, talk to me, sis.
Yeah, I'm don't worry about it. I'm just me. No, I'm curious if you've got a minute to let Curtis answer this. Because he said he had an opportunity to meet the grandchild or the great grandchild of his family's slave owner. And so I'm curious how that impacted him and what that did for him, if anything, as far as in a positive aspect. Did it have any bearing on his own self-worth, or I don't even know really how to say it or ask it properly, but I'm just curious what that overall impact was for him. Did it give him some sort of sense of
what was the
freedom
influence of that?
or something? Yeah.
What was the influence of that experience, Curtis?
Yeah.
Okay, so for transparency's sake, at the time, I was getting high, heavy. Heavy. And I don't know about anybody else on this phone, but my drug of choice was heroin. It was heroin. That was my drug of choice. But when I heard what that man said, it was the great great grandson or the great great grandson. The master's name was Mr. Jackson. Bought right there out of Charleston. And when he laid out that story, see, my family traces back to the first ever. My family traces back to the first ever Scottish established Scottish minority in the history of Scotland. Yeah. And we found all that out with that man speaking to us. You see, my family is the product, my daddy's family is the product of a white Scottish man. All right, so, and a slave girl. So when I got the story, it made me realize that now my people are greater than what I see on a day-to-day in my community. And I have a responsibility to be greater.
Yeah.
Now, I had some bumps in the road, but that was probably the second greatest thing that altered my perception of life and who I was in it. When that white man stood up with tears in his eyes, apologized, and then start laying out the facts. When I found out that my family's original name, their African name, is written on the walls in the slave castle in Barbados. There's a slave castle down there somewhere, which was where they would take the slaves, drop the slaves off, and then another ship would pick them up from there and bring them into the Charleston Harbor. So when I heard this man say that, it realistically was the second calling on my life to, hey man, get yourself straight. I got some great things for you, but you got to get yourself straight first.
There you go.
I ain't all the way there. I'm not going to paint no picture like I'm perfect. I'm not. But I am perfectly made.
Good deal. Good deal.
I am perfect in my understanding of what really happened and what really was going on.
Wow. That's good. That's good. We're about to get out of here for today. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother? Toussaint? Toussaint.
Doggone mute, but get me every time.
I'm about to say it to you, brother.
I know it. I beat you to it. Sometimes we got to do. I like out of all the books I like the book of Esther because it shows that sometimes it seems like when there is no God, His providence is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere in the narrative. And the short version of what I'm trying to say is Esther had a chance to back out, but she stood up from good advice from her elder.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, okay, he tells her, don't think that you're going to escape if you don't say nothing. You're put in a position for a time like this. So in turn, after listening, because sometimes the younger don't want to listen to the elders, she says, you know what, if I perish, so be it. I'm going to say it like that.
There you go.
So we got to come to that point in our lives that we say, maybe I might lose my life, but what's it worth?
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me all of us going to be wasted because you're in a position to make a change and you choose not to do anything?
Mm-hmm.
And God has placed you in this position for a time like this.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
question is, what are you going to do?
And see, I love the book of Esther too, man. I especially like the part where she always say, yo, fish-eyed fool. I love that part, man. That part cracks me up every time. She said, yo, fish-eyed fool.
You're so stupid.
Cassandra, what's on your Cassandra?
Yeah, the bottom line is that I think that what we all would like to see is reconciliation. Reconciliation cannot come without conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I direct the only annual lynching reenactment in the world. And what that lynching reenactment does is it brings Black people and white people into a space where we share what is true history.
Mm-hmm.
It happened here in Georgia in 1946. Black people were lynched. 1946, that's 70-something years ago. So what we have to do, if we don't talk about the history, there is no reconciliation.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's Black people and white people, if we don't have discussions about it, then how do we heal? If you do something to me and you never sit down and talk to me about what you did, and I'm not saying that it's you, but your ancestors did, then we have to have a conversation. Tell me how you feel about it. I tell you how I feel about it. And then we come to a place where we say, you know what? I'm sorry for what, because in the lynching reenactment that I direct, one year, a family member of one of the people that we know participated in the lynching, a granddaughter, came and she said, listen, I want to be a part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
So it's not putting your head in the sand and pretending like it never happened. It's about talking about it, like what we're doing now, getting it out, and then people can take it for do what they will. But at least the information is out there. What happened and how it hurt. It hurts me today to know about the things that took place with my people, over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's still affecting my people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's about reconciliation for me. I'm not walking around angry at white people. So I have very close friends that are white.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the issue. It's about, we need to talk about these things.
Yeah. Got to have the dialogue. We have to have the dialogue. Mr. Hicks, talk to me, sir.
Oh, wow. I got so much from this. Let me turn this stuff off. I got over here. But I don't have anything to add except for I think the solution is spiritual. The solution is working on yourself, and just to be able to keep your balance, keep your mental, and operate out of those fruits of love, because you could easily get caught up.
Exactly.
But
that's good. That's good.
Appreciate everything. The conversation is good. I've been food with thought all day long now for me.
I knew it was gonna be a rough conversation today. I really did, man. And it was tough, but we made it through. Let me watch this.
We're pretty good.
Yeah,
we're pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah, we're pretty good. You handled it good.
Hey, to God be the glory, brother. To God be the glory. Let me go to watch this. I'm gonna pick it. Let me go to Brian. Oh, somebody called him Brian today, so I guess his new name is Brian. So Brian, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
And he gonna answer to Brian too. Boy, look at this. I'm so shocked he answered me when I said that. Oh, I'm gonna get you later.
There's a lot of noise going on around here.
I
didn't even hear what you said.
What's on your heart, Ryan? Talk to me, brother. I can't believe you answered me.
Hey, it's a lot of noise in here. I had to turn off my forklift just to hear you say whatever you said.
Oh, okay. I called you Brian. I see somebody changed your name to Brian today, so let me call on Brian. And you said yes.
Oh, okay. Happens all the time, man. So some people, you write your name on the paper and you clearly see it start with an R, but they add a B. They just make it up.
Yep. You'll be amazed, man. How many people add an S in my name? Hey, Rasheen.
Hey, it took me a minute though. I used to think your name was Raheem with an M.
No, it's N. It's N. Yes, sir.
I know. I can read.
There you go. There you go. What's on your heart, brother? We're ready to get out of here, man. But I want to come to you before we get out of here. Talk to me.
Honestly, I dropped the mic the last time. I still hold firm to my last statement. We got so much in common, even through our differences with this panel. And I think that we have a lot to learn and a lot to teach at the same time. A whole lot to teach. And I love it. I just love the dialogue, and I'm appreciative of everybody on here, because something like this could easily end in you kicking some people off the show, or some people logging off and never coming back on. And that didn't happen. Maybe it got a little passionate at times, but the rest of that didn't happen. So I'm appreciative of everybody.
Absolutely. Likewise. I got to do some shout outs this morning. I see my daughter, Kia. She's actually watching us. She's watching us on TikTok. Good morning, baby. Love you. And my mom, she's actually watching us on YouTube. She done went from TikTok to YouTube. She don't know what she want to watch. But long as you watch this, mama, we love you. And thank you for doing it. You jump from TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Boy, you all over the place, mama. But that's okay. Just keep watching, baby. Just keep watching. Kia, love you, baby. Anybody have anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got one more thing.
I would like to appreciate.
Hold on, man. Hold on, brother. Now ladies are first. Now how you gonna do that?
Well, okay, all right. I started first, but that's all right.
It's okay. Come on now. When the women speak, we got to listen. We learn that when the women talk. Go ahead, Zamari. What the name they call you? I don't know how they do it.
Zamaria.
Yeah, exactly.
Zamaria, that's one of them. No, I just got one more thing to say or ask. You ready?
Absolutely. Oh Lord, I don't know. Ryan, I need your help, brother. Go ahead, ask the question.
Why y'all bringing up old stuff? I'm done.
Wow. Okay, Ibrahim, I ain't fooling with you, Zamari.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate this particular show. Even though some people seem one-dimensional, I do see people grasp the three-dimensional aspect of a situation. But one thing that I said earlier, and I like to impress upon people, your actions and your words bring consequences. Now, some of us, because we're on a plane where we think that this is the answer, it blinds us to the whole view. And it works in our situation, but it's not unilateral. But right, two things I heard, that we have to come together in thought. But ways of things like that is said in Kwame Nkrumah, Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington, that we have to move forward. We have to work on things moving forward. But the anecdotal evidence suggests that some things cannot move you forward. It's been done over and over again. It's not working. It never has worked. But the conquest of knowledge of that you have done this before, you can do it again, and you can exceed anybody's expectations, right? And reliance on, as like Marcus Garvey said, that relying on another race to resolve your problems, paraphrase a little bit, it's against human history. So we have to understand that the problem sometimes is us. And the reasoning that we have why things are they are might not be the solution. The understanding that you were the moving driving force, that you, in spite of everything, you survived. I heard people talking about Jesus, but it was his crucifixion that identified him. It identifies a lot of information about what he actually believed and his faith. We all believe in things, but faith, and when they talk about faith, it's different than our beliefs. But we move on, and we're strong and encouraged. And one other thing, I encourage people that quote out of the Old Testament, why don't you read the English translation of the Torah? You don't have to stack it up against, even though if you want to, you can stack it up against the Old Testament translation. But if you put it up against the Torah, then you would develop a more wholesome understanding. Not saying you're right or wrong. You made a wholesome understanding because everything is done for a purpose and a reason to control and manipulate, I believe. Now, I have faith, though, that if we concentrate more on our successes and learn from our successes, then we have a standard. We have rules. We have a lane in the road. We know what it's going to take to get to the end of the tunnel or to the top of the mountain or directly to those things. And it was quoted about he talked. Somebody mentioned about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Marcus Garvey and all that. But if you understood what they went through, what they went through to get it, and then why he went through it. If you really read why he went through, why he put himself in that position, how many times Martin Luther King was trying to be bombed. We care nothing about that. We want to talk about flowery speaking, but we care nothing about the man's substance, the issue, what brought him there.
Good
about
deal.
His grandfather, what he went through,
Now,
actual slavery.
Now, preacher.
We don't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So the things I said, despite all
Preacher.
let's talk about the facts.
Good deal. And so my thing.
One last thing.
Ain't no last thing. Ain't no last thing, man. We gotta go, man. Ain't no last thing. Ain't no last. but listen, my thing is right here. I do appreciate that, man. I'll concentrate on our victories. But at the same time, I like to deal with both sides of the coin. And I got this strange thing, man. I don't say losses or defeats. I say learning experiences. So we have to concentrate on our victories, but we cannot ignore our learning experiences that we had, because both of them are part of the gumbo that's going to move us forward and make us be more successful as we take the next step or next steps. So yes, the victories are very important. We don't want to overlook those victories, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the learning experiences that we have had as well. Toya with a T, talk to me. Maybe I need to sing it. Toya with the T. She can't be here because if I sung it like that and she ain't saying nothing, she would have told me, Raheem, don't do that. Don't do that. If she was here, she would have definitely said that. Well,
come on, Raheem, let's go.
Talk to me. It says, what's on your heart? Learn victories and learning experiences. We gotta concentrate on both of them. We have to focus on both of them, because I think that's what's going to help us move forward as we move forward. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Raheem. That's how we're gonna get the victory. When we draw attention, when we get them to listen and hear what we got to say, and it reaches the heart, because the heart gotta change. The heart got to change more than anything in this world. And that's how the heart changes, Raheem.
You're good.
That's how we get the victory.
Yeah.
That's how we get it. So
exactly.
Come on, Raheem, let's go.
Hold on. Ain't time yet. I got to go to Ryan. I'm going to let Ryan do it for us today. Ryan, are you there, brother?
Yes, sir.
What's going on at 3 o'clock today? Now make our sister Z, make her proud now. Make her proud now. You've been doing good. You've been doing good. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. What's going on?
I might mess it up on purpose.
knowing you, absolutely. But what's going on at 3 o'clock today?
If you missed today's show and would like to view it in its entirety, you can tune in on DKMMediaGroup.com at 3 o'clock.
Good deal. Look at did he make Zamari? Did he make you proud? She's shaking her head. Yeah, she's still thumbs up. You did good. You did good. Now let me go to. Whoa!
Hold up. Samari, wake up and go to sleep.
I'm here. I was just being respectful and keeping my mouth shut.
Uh-oh. Whoops.
Come on now.
I heard some fire. There's some fire. There's some fire going on. There's some fire. I heard some fire.
Come on, y'all. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Throne of graces. Raheem, I'm ready. I am so ready to receive God's word. Come on, Raheem. Let's go.
Well, Willa, I'm gonna tell you something. If you say you ready, I ain't got number one more thing to say to you. I got one more thing to say to you. Let's go.
Let's go, Raheem. First, we want to give honor to God, who's allowed us to get up this morning. Who's given us another chance and another opportunity. Father, we thank you. Thank you so much, Lord. We're praising and honoring you this morning. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Father, I laid down last night, and for some reason, you loved me enough to say good morning to me. Oh, wait. Thank you. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Despite of what I go through every day, in spite of sometimes not even saying thank you, Lord, you still love me. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Touch the ones that are lost, Lord, to help your servants to become better servants, Lord. Guide us and lead us, direct us. Set the path under our feet so that we may continually be the light of the world, Lord, as you said it in your word, Lord. Father, thank you for your word. Thank you, Lord, for your promise. Thank you, Lord, that you said that you give us peace, Lord. We need it. We need it in this evil and wicked world. Keep us safe, Lord. Allow your angels to be encamped around us, keeping our children safe as they go out into the wilderness, Lord. Tear down the barrier that's blocking them from hearing your word, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy. And thank you for your mercy. Touch each and every last one that's on this ground, Lord. Father, we know that with you, all things are possible.
Yes.
And we trust you. Yes. We trust you, Lord, more than anything in this world. Thank you, Lord. Keep them safe. Thank you for this show. Thank you for the morning glow. Thank you for Raheem and his family, Lord. Continually guide us and direct us in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Keep us covered. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Anybody got anything before we get out of here?
Great show, man. Great information. Great minds.
Yes, sir.
I'm grateful for this show.
Hey, to God be the glory, brother. To God be the glory. It's all him, brother. You know, and that's all you're gonna get out of me, man. To God be the glory. You know, to God be the glory. That's all I can say, brother. Anybody else have anything? Good deal. Good deal.
Man, y'all all right with me. Y'all good with man. Look, the minds of the people that are on this panel. I'm talking about everybody.
Yes, sir.
There's not a, you talk about wisdom that's poured out. All of them, every one of them. So when we look at, we say, we don't know, we all know a little bit of something that we can put to the table so that we can gain some more knowledge. And that's what we do. It seems like we do that every day.
Yes, sir.
And I'm grateful.
Absolutely. 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 I'm going to say it one more time before we get out of here, man. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. It's about time for us to get out of here, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your day. It is now, what time is it? 10:25. Y'all got a little extra time out of me today. It is now 10:25. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Now we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other, and please, please, please be blessed. Give somebody some love and truth. They would appreciate it, and I'm sure that you will as well. Have a great day. Love you. Talk to you Monday morning, if God says the same. Enjoy your weekend, y'all.